At first I was very skeptical until I actually experienced it myself, and then I was like, all right, okay, I see that this is not fake, it is real. Especially if you try to, in a sense, communicate with them. I've tried to communicate before, and I've actually had an experience with my daughter. She passed away when she was 22, and I'm sitting on a chair in the hallway, and I fell asleep. So I see my daughter walking down the hallway, down the stairs. She came over to me. She kissed me on my cheek, because she always kissed me on my right cheek. And going like that, I woke up, I was like, I felt my cheek was wet. You know, like when somebody gives you a kiss on your cheek, it's a little damp. And I just said, thank you. Appreciate that.
Whoa.
What? What?
I just look like someone's standing right here.
So this has got a pretty intense history, and it's one of those locations where there are a lot of claims and not a ton of actual factual evidence to back it up. But essentially, 1885, Edward Mentz opens the hotel with his partner, Mr. Renfro. At that time, it's considered the Renfro Hotel. It's in a great spot because it's really close to the Mammoth Caves. So we're going to be super, super close to the Mammoth Caves here, which is pretty exciting. Then later on, the hotel is going to burn down. In 1904, pretty much everything is lost. Almost none of the original items are salvageable. They rebuild the hotel. It's now called the Mentz Hotel, and it's in all of the papers. I mean, like, this is the place to stay when you come to the Mammoth Caves. Also interesting is Edward Mentz worked for the Mammoth Cave Railroad, and then there was this really controversial thing where the company tried to pin something on him, and so he quit because he was getting all of this. He was used as a scapegoat, essentially. So now his entire life is at the hotel. He dies of paralysis in 1909. Now his son, George Mentz, takes over and spends a long time trying to, like, sell the place. I don't think he wanted to keep it, but he's living there. He doesn't have a choice. He also dies there. The next owner of the hotel is a Mrs. Fishback, I think her name is. Let me double check that. And she is also going to die at the hotel. So pretty much everybody that owned the hotel would go ahead and die at the hotel.
Really?
Yeah,
Crazy.
which is really interesting.
So don't buy that place.
Then you have in 1946, from about 1951 to 1952, it becomes the Bulk School for Junior Boys.
Okay.
And their slogan is Bulk builds better boys. And it's like this really popular school to send your kids to. They also run an Elks Lodge out of the place during that time. The story is that the school closed because one of the little boys died in like a pond behind the building. I couldn't find any actual documentation of that, but that's what people believe, so could be not true. Then all of a sudden, it becomes a nursing home. And that's from like 1952 to 1962. So the story is for 10 years, there was 80 funerals in this place. But that's the story. I have only found documentation of 13 people dying at the nursing home during the 10 years, and I haven't found evidence in any of the obituaries that any of their funerals were held in the hotel, or the nursing home, sorry. And I think that's because they had a couple funeral homes in town. It doesn't really make sense that they would have the funeral in the building at that time. And it's also, you know, the 1950s, 1960s, that wasn't as common at the time. So
Right.
I don't know if that's just a really good story, or if there were actually some funerals held in the place. I wasn't able to find any documentation that there was ever funerals there.
Well, still 13 deaths is pretty significant.
Definitely, and that's not even including the owners. That is not including George or Ed Mentz or Mrs. Fishback. So all of them died there. Then it becomes an inn again, and it changes hands a bunch of times until it lands in Gary and Karen's hands.
Okay.
And that's who owns it now. Well, Karen, thank you so much for having us in your beautiful bed and breakfast. If you wouldn't mind introducing yourself and telling us how you came upon acquiring the place.
Okay. Karen Baldwin Carroll, and we had a vision for this when we were 34. And we moved to Kentucky in 2006, and we almost got it in 2010, but it took another 5.5 years, and we finally got it in 2015 and fulfilled our vision.
I mean, it's definitely an enchanting building, and it's certainly seen a lot of lives over its many years. It's been everything from a family home to an inn to a school for boys to a nursing home and now an inn again. So I would love to talk about the history a little bit because it's varied and vast and really kind of unique. I have a deep admiration for Edward Mentz, who started this place with, I believe, his partner, Mr. Renfro.
Correct. So Mr. Mentz ran Mammoth Cave Railroad Company, 1853 to 1909 when he passed. But he was very good at being an entrepreneur, and they would come to Bell's Tavern, and that burnt down in 1860. So he took the carriage house and made it the first Mentz Hotel on the corner. And then 25 years later, Mr. Renfro's like, I've got money, and you need a nice place. So they built one in 1885. 1903, it burned down. 1905, he built this. And there's a picture of he and his wife and daughter and her husband and the porter up by the porch in 1906. So we got a shot of who Mr. Mentz is.
I would love to talk about when it was Bethwood Nursing Home.
Okay.
So I've heard some pretty large numbers of people that have died here. I've personally found documentation of at least 13 that did die in the home. But I remember you saying something about that funerals were held in the home. Do you know when that would have been?
I just heard they were because I wasn't here, but we had numerous people say, oh, my great-grandma was there, or my great-aunt was there, and we used to go visit her there. But we heard there was funerals right here in the entry, in the foyer. So
I'm really curious if that would have been for the nursing home?
Yes,
Okay.
definitely.
Okay.
Yeah. They may have had, if a local died, and the graveyard's just up the street from us, so they may have had a funeral here, just to have a funeral here, but I doubt it. It was probably just for the people in the nursing home. So
Interesting.
that's a large number. I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah.
Interesting.
So I have found documentation for 13 of the Bethwood residents who have passed in the home. I do know Ed Mentz died in the home, George Mentz died in the home, and Mrs. Fishback died in the home. So there is a large number of people that have passed in this home. And, to me, that's not an innately creepy thing. I think it's a beautiful place. People didn't want to leave. And I think if you have the choice, passing in your own home is always more comfortable than in a hospital. It's not as sterile. It's surrounded by places and people that you love. And this seems to be a place that was well loved by a lot of people. And we are here because we want to investigate the supposed hauntings that apparently take place here. Have you had any personal experiences, or what are the most common things that people tell you that have stayed here?
Personally, I just feel like a thickness or whatever, but I've had numerous people stay or come and walk around and say they see the same ghosts in the same place, and I don't have that gift, so that's a good thing. But they'll tell me, Mr. Mentz and his daughter's right here, and Mr. Balsh is over here, and the porter's up there, and his wife's down the hallway here in the same white dress that's in the picture. And so it's just interesting. Room 7, people say there's all kinds of people in there. People have had stuff happen in room 9 where things disappear, and then like 3 months later they'll reappear. And then people will see somebody walk by on the porch, think, oh, a guest. Nobody. I can't tell you how many times I've gone to the front door thinking somebody just walked by.
Wow, because you literally saw them walk past the windows.
And not just me. Our innkeepers that we've had, a couple different ones, they've seen it. Gary's seen it. Yeah, my husband.
Is there a section of the inn that you feel or guests say is more active? And are there specific things they tend to always see in specific rooms?
Yes. So Gary's daughter passed away in 2006, and for some reason, guests have seen it. People just looking have seen it. She's in room number 7. Well, one guest said, I need to tell you something. There's a young lady in there. And so I showed her a picture, and she said, yep, that's her. And her husband says, no, it's a girl with dark curly hair. Well, her friend died 6 years later. And so I found a picture of her, and he said, that's her. So for some reason, they're here, even though we didn't have this till 2015. And then a lady had passed away in that room, and her son found her and covered her with a pillow, and then they accused him of smothering her, which he didn't.
Oh, wow.
So this friend that can hear and stuff, she said, no, she said she died peacefully, and that he didn't do that to her. Her son was a good person.
And what room did that take place
That's in 7.
Okay, so 7 seems to be a quite active room.
Yeah, and the previous owners, he went up to get a tool for his dad and said he saw a guy warming his hands in that room, and there was a little burn hole on the floor. It wasn't all the way through, but it was burnt and dipped, and I'm like, When he told me that, I was like wondering why there was a burn spot. So.
Do you have any idea what room that might have been? Like, was there any family members that maybe had stayed in that room at all?
No, our family, no. But there's numerous times people have said they heard people running in the halls at night. Guess one lady goes, you had people running in your hall last night. Well, I didn't want to tell her, but they said kids play tag up there. So there's children running in the hall up there.
Do you think that could be attached to the school that was here?
I don't know, because I don't see them or hear them. So but I've had that told to me at least 5 times.
Prior to this building being here, because of Bell's Tavern just being right behind us here, this wasn't a camp. During the Civil War, there was tents and everything all out here with Civil War soldiers. This is where they camped, because they had a lot of meetings over there at the old Bell's Tavern. So you can still find artifacts. Well, at first I was very skeptical until I actually experienced it myself, and then I was like, all right, okay, I see that this is not fake, it is real. And after a while, sometimes I'll be sitting in the office and I hear people out here on the porch talking and there's nobody out here. Or I see somebody walk by the window. And so I get up we have cameras, and I don't see anybody out here, and we're looking in the camera, we don't see anyone, there's no car. Especially if you try to, in a sense, communicate with them. I've tried to communicate before, and I've actually had an experience with my daughter. She passed away when she was 22, so. She passed away in 2006. So this was in 2006, maybe 3 months later. And I'm sitting on a chair in the hallway, and I fell asleep. So I see my daughter walking down the hallway, down the stairs. She came over to me. She kissed me on my cheek, because she always kissed me on my right cheek. And I went like that. I woke up, I was like, I felt my cheek was wet. Like when somebody gives you a kiss on your cheek, it's a little damp. And I just said, thank you, appreciate that. Yeah, I think owning places that are older or historic, been around a long time, it definitely does make a difference, and it's made a difference with me and the way I believe and feel. Some people have seen my daughter and her friend up in room 7. Before they even mentioned that, the first thing I thought to myself when I was first cleaning room 7, we restored this 6 years ago, is I thought, yeah, this is the room my daughter would like. It's really cool. It's kind of like the hippie room. It's got all the different yellow colors. My daughter liked a lot of hippie things. So I thought, yeah, she would like this room, this one out of all of them. So then, about 3 or 4 years later, person tells me, yeah, I saw 2 girls in room 7. And I'm like, really? I said, what were they wearing? So she explained to me what they were wearing. I knew exactly who it was right off the bat.
So I'm gonna set up this Zoom H6 right here, this hallway, so we get some nice audio coverage here. So Get that here. It's nice we have these microphones so that one's gonna shoot down this way, one's gonna shoot down this way, so that's gonna work out perfectly. All right, we are rolling. This is a session here at the Grand Victorian Inn. So what we have here is a tripwire, and what this does is it picks up EMF, electromagnetic frequencies. So if anything passes in front of these different colored lights you see on the ground, it's gonna change color according to how high the frequency is. So they say they hear kids running up and down this hallway. So we're gonna see if we can get them out to come play hide and seek with us, see if we can get any of these tripped. So we also have the EDI data logger over here, and we have a motion detector in the stairs.
Another thing we should look out for, and what's really cool, is that this is so visually based. So if a train does go by, a long-standing theory we have is that, like, you know, anything near a train station ramps up potential paranormal activity. So if we start seeing our stuff popping off when the train goes by, that's something worth paying close attention to.
Here at the Grand Victorian Inn, we're about 50 feet away from train tracks and trains actively passing every hour or so. That's exciting to me because one of the most significant finds in APRA's history was about the same distance from an active train track. And we collected an EVP of a woman asking if that would be on the train. Not exactly sure what she was referring to, but it is definitely one of the most phenomenal EVPs collected in APRA's history, and something I'm hoping to test further. You know, is it possible that a passing train generates activity? Does it generate more energy in a building? That's something I haven't been able to test since I investigated the Saugus train station back in 2008. I think we'll test that here tonight to see if that theory holds any credibility. Hello, first thing I want to do is introduce myself. My name is Brandon.
I'm Mustafa.
We come here with the fullest respect for yourself in this beautiful hotel, this beautiful inn. We've heard that there's kids here that are playing hide and seek out in this hallway. If there are kids here, we'd like to talk with you possibly. We're not scary, we're not here to scare you at all. We just want to see if we can interact with you, play with you. See these purple lights here on the ground? If you run up to them or run past them, we can, see if you're coming out to play hide and seek with us. All of these devices here and these colored lights, they will not hurt you at all. You can go up and touch them and grab them and see if they light up for you. Sound like a kid. You heard that, right?
You have the H.
It's running. Yeah.
It's running.
Was that you? Was that your voice?
Could you come out in the hallway? We have these toys over here.
Our backup lav microphones recorded an EVP we did not hear mid-investigation. Was that you? Was that your voice?
If you come and you touch them, there's also a box with a blinking red light. That's really fun.
Mustafa and I both have kids.
Oh, they like playing with our stuff, especially when they shouldn't.
I have a 2-year-old son.
I have a 6-year-old and a 3-year-old. She's gonna be 4. She's looking forward to her birthday party. She wants to make it mermaid themed again. She knows what she likes. What about you?
If there's anyone else here that's not the children that are heard here, or maybe the man that's been seen in these rooms, or the woman that's been seen on the staircase, we'd love to talk to any of you. Again, we're here with respect.
We were invited by Karen and Gary, You have a lot of love for this building. You've done a lot of renovations to it. I think it looks beautiful. What do you think? Can you see the work that they've done here?
So yeah, we're up here. We're hearing a few strange noises down into the hall, but it's a massive place. This hallway is huge, so we're just trying to see if we can make any kind of contact with what eyewitnesses say they see here. I mean, it's been
Again. Let me go see what that is.
Can you go in there?
Yeah, what could it possibly be? It's not that clock. It's not working. Sounds like it's coming from...
There it was again. It's out here again.
What?
I just heard it again.
You did?
Yeah.
Where did it come from?
It's like right over here. It almost sounds like something on this shelf.
Something on the shelf?
It sounded like right here.
Who's this?
I have no idea. Oh, there it is again. See?
It was like that.
Yeah, this is very similar to what it sounded like.
Mm.
Mr. Mintz, is that you?
Whoa. What? What?
I just look like someone's standing right here. Look like a little, like about that tall. Oh, right there. Look like a little person.
Maybe they started the hide and seek game and they didn't tell us.
I swear, it looked like it. At first, I was like, I thought maybe I was looking at the chair right here. You know what I mean? But it was not that far back. It was right here, about to this height.
Again.
That was like a person's voice. Here, I want to play that back. Oh, let's play that back. That was 18 minutes. I'm gonna stop this. Let me see if I want to play this back real quick. That was kind of strange.
Do you need headphones?
No, it's got a speaker on it.
What?
Did you hear that? It was like it sounded like a man's voice. Hold on.
All right, we are rolling. This is a session here at the Grand Victorian Inn.
Heard that?
Yeah. Oh. Where did you?
Yeah.
That's a. Who is that?
I don't know. What the fuck?
That's like clear as hell, dude. Listen. Well, I say we take it downstairs, or we pull it into the computer and analyze it.
Okay.
Let's do that. All right. Like Mustafa says, like he says something about like the owners of the hotel. So let's listen.
Now the guests who stay here hear footsteps in the hallway, people walking, a lot about something.
Here we go. This is it right here.
Read a lot about some of the owners here.
No, right here.
Okay.
Wait, it's way more voice. It's way
Yeah.
longer than it sounded like on there.
Yeah, dude.
Okay.
Whoa.
Is there a way? Can we
And
blow
And
that
you can
up?
see it's a
Hold on.
different accent and everything,
Hold
dog.
on.
It's Mens, bro. It's Eddie Mens. I'm telling
Hold
you, dude.
on. Let's do this. Give me a second. That was
I'm like,
That sounded like it
Yeah.
was just.
okay.
we
What
need
do
to.
you-
Read a lot about some of the owners here.
Something this evening. I'll be down this evening. That's what it says. Listen, I'll be down this evening. Listen.
It's prior owner.
Listen.
Read a lot about some of the owners here.
I'll be down this evening.
Yes.
Holy
Oh
shit.
my god.
That's exactly what it sounds like. Wait, okay, play it again.
I'll be
Play it
down
again.
this evening.
I'll go with Emily.
Okay.
I'll do it. Okay. Want this?
Yeah, so once you get it up there, just set it down like on a nice area and just hit that record button right there.
You got it,
See
pal.
that?
Okay,
All
let's
right.
do this. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and set this. Just give me for a second, I'm fine. I'm gonna set this here. All right, first of all, I just wanna say hi. My name is Malia. I'm here with my friend Emily. And it kind of seems like you guys wanna play. I have a couple young goddaughters. One's name is Sophia, the other one is Camila. And they love playing tag, I'll tell ya. Do you guys want to play tag? We have a really fun little box and all these really pretty little purple lights. And if you set them off, I will know that you're here. And we can play. You don't have to be shy. We're a really playful group, I promise. We like to play.
I had a feeling, that's why I started walking over here. Felt like if I went over here, that I was gonna get set off because every time we start moving and we're like stationary, then we go, it goes off. But that's not set off by me because I was over here.
We have a full house of people up here. It's a lot of us are very playful.
All right, who wants to play with someone who's actually fun?
I'm really fun. Are you kidding me? My goddaughters love me. I'm like the queen.
Well, they have to love you because you're related to them.
That's not true. They're my goddaughters, all right?
That's true. Keep going, Malia. I'm just observing.
Great. Go have fun without me. Do you guys have a favorite room to play in? A lot of really cool people have lived here. The Mentz family is really, really impressive. Where did they go?
What? Heard something?
No, but we opened the employee's only door.
What?
Wasn't that closed?
Where?
Right here. It was supposed to be closed.
Oh, classic kid hiding spot, laundry room.
What?
EDI, let's go.
Go.
Oh, this just went off.
What did?
What?
This one off. Right here. This one.
Are you playing with us?
I'm pretty sure.
Wait, the motion detector
blue,
off is in
right?
here. Wait, the motion detector over here is off.
Does this change to blue?
Yeah.
Tripwire goes to blue if it's high EMF.
Yes, and then the motion detector, I think someone, go in here. Go in here with the EDI.
Oh, someone went in.
Are you in here?
Oh my god.
It's me. Ooh.
This is room 7.
Dude, it is cold in here.
Is it?
Yeah,
They're playing with us.
it is cold.
Gary's daughter passed away in 2006, and for some reason, guests have seen it. People just looking have seen it. She's in room number 7.
Hello? Come on. I want to
you
win.
in
I've
here?
never won in tag.
Not getting any environmental changes over here.
What about the bathroom?
Oh, yeah.
Did you guys run out again? Where did you go?
It all seems to be adding up. I mean, it was kind of weird, though, that we had the tripwire light go off.
Yeah, because that hasn't gone off at all. And then the motion detector in that room went off.
It was
and it was
like,
faced in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it only goes off if you're in there. And no one was in
Where's
there.
that sitting though?
This? No, the tripwire light went off. This didn't go off. That was just up there.
Wait, doesn't that affect the tripwire?
No, absolutely not. This was up here.
Okay. That's what I'm asking.
Yeah, that's not going to affect the tripwire at all. That's just EMF does that. So even if you were to take this, see? Because that's why we use the EDIs, because they're very well insulated.
This is such a trip.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Wow.
Yeah, the EDI is like really, that's why we like to use them, because literally the only way to kind of like, you could shake it and then nothing will happen, but if you breathe on it, like that'll set it off. That's about it.
Are you still hiding in here?
So I had to ask you what happened in my bedroom.
What happened in your bedroom?
You all went into number 7.
Oh.
So Emily noticed that, so the tripwire, yeah, the paralight's up there. I left it on a table up there just in case we hear any noises while we're down here. But the tripwire had turned blue, and then I had the motion detector pointed towards the interior of room 7. It was, Malia made this connection where tripwire goes off, and then right diagonal of it, the motion detector went off after we started counting as if we were playing a game of hide and seek.
And after, when we started like looking for them is when that happened.
And then this was running the whole time.
In the laundry room, door was open and it's been closed.
That's weird.
Yeah.
So, like, I mean, the entire time we've been here, that door's been closed the entire time. None of us were down there. I think a lot of ghost stories always start with the former owner dying and then haunting the place. And that could be the case here at the Grand Victorian. You have at least 3 of the previous owners that lived here, loved it here, and then died here. Are they who haunts the Grand Victorian? I don't know. But what I find even more peculiar with this location is just like the Conrad Caldwell, where William Caldwell carried an actual photo of the house in his pocket, even though it was his friend's house, because he wanted it so bad. Karen and Gary wanted this place for 10 years. What is it about these homes that is calling to people? It wasn't their family that built them. It wasn't a familial connection at that time that drew them to that place. So why are homes calling to people? What is it that is making people yearn for structure? At the end of the day, that's what a house is. So maybe that's why it's such a romantic idea to think of former owners loving a place so much that when they die, they don't want to leave it.
Mustafa and I headed to Sweet Joy to see if the claims of a ghost tea party are related to the room's proximity to an active railroad.
All right, Brandon. Finally alone.
God, you wish.
Here we go.
This is a little weird. This room is a bit strange.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's just the layout, the look of this like cool Victorian room, but it's a little weird. I do think it's really strange so far. This entire investigation, we have not had a single hit from a data logger in any way, shape, or form.
Nope.
I mean, no temperature changes, no pressure changes, no humidity, no EMF, nothing like that.
Well, that's what, like, a lot of times we think like, oh, there's a temperature change. Maybe it's just like ultra sensitive to changes in temperature, which happens in a room, especially when you're going from room to room in a home. But that's what just makes our other finds on other cases that much more interesting, especially when we're at the Jailer's Inn, we're following that cloud around. We have a device here. It's an orange box. You'll see a blinking red light on it. I don't know if you can see it, but we've been reading a lot about this, about the Grand Victorian Inn, also known as a men's hotel. It's a beautiful area here. We love it. The railroad's right across the street, even though you can imagine it might not be so fun if someone's sleeping and a train goes by. I can sleep through trains going off. It doesn't bother me. The fact that we have such close proximity to the ruins of the Bell's Tavern and then the railroad right across the street, and then our proximity to the Mammoth Cave, I think it's just a collective kind of trifecta of different environmental and geological factors that are conspiring, I guess, for the lack of a better word, to make a perfect storm of paranormal activity. So I'm excited to see what happens here and if any of these factors or a confluence of them will spur on the hauntings here.
Doing a sweep this whole thing, it's like 0 on milligas. Yeah. It's crazy. This place is like flat.
Which is good for investigating.
Yeah, it's
very
great.
good.
Upon hearing the incoming train, Mustafa makes a bet that we will finally register environmental changes on our data logger.
$5. $5. All right, I got you.
god. It's still going, dude. It ain't over yet. I love gambling. It makes things so much more exciting. I see why people get addicted. Gambling's bad. If you're addicted, like, call that hotline. I don't know what it is, but it's...
Oh, you gotta be kidding me. God damn it. Friends got up all night. God. Look it, it's still going. Look.
Okay.
You can feel the roof shaking.
Yeah.
Look.
It's changing the pressure, dude.
That's interesting.
Whoa, dude. I'm getting like
Yeah,
goosebumps.
yeah, you can feel it. Look, it's still
big
going.
time. Pressure changes. Just pressure. And it's getting colder in here now.
Look.
Dude, it's getting colder in here now, but we're not registering any temperature drops.
What the hell, man?
Dude, I willed that, bro, because I don't want to lose the bet.
Well, I know the interesting thing is, I mean, like, the entire night we've had no environmental changes
None.
of any kind. Look, it's still. So you know what that means, right? I mean, that means in theory that, like, this train is changing the environment within this building. I mean, does that mean it's something supernatural? We can't say that, but it's very possible. Very possible.
So there's some kind of kinetic energy from the train that's ramping up whatever's here, or let's put on, you know, ghost enthusiast hat. I don't know, Mr. Mentz, Eddie Mentz, he worked on the railroad in his whole life. It's associated with this building, and he would bring travelers to the Mammoth Cave here, and he would, you know, take them, and he rode the railroad, and he rode it there, and he would take them to the hotel. But we do know that you did capture that really awesome EVP, Sagas.
That's what makes you wonder. I mean, we didn't have data loggers and that kind of technology at that time. So it makes you wonder, if I did have data loggers in there when that train passed and we captured this phenomenal EVP, like, would there have been pressure changes associated with that?
The most fun I've ever had investigating my entire life.
Oh my
I
god.
can only assume some tomfoolery just went down.
So the train starts to pass, right?
Yeah,
We
loud
take
as hell.
All night EDI pluses
Nothing.
are not going off it. No, the EDI pluses are not going off, right?
Yeah.
We set it down on the table, and the train starts to pass, and Mustafa's like, bet you $5 it's gonna go off. I was like, oh, all right, here we go. We shake hands, pressure changes.
Okay, was it like it kept going on?
It wouldn't stop until the train stopped.
Do you hate it that I'm right, like, all the time about everything?
It's annoying as hell.
And this is the guy that's right all the time.
It sucks.
The world is
It
going
sucks.
mad.
I'm out $5, so.
Never make a bet with this guy.
So happy.
How many times you got?
Yo, I manifested this happening, bro.
Don't
I'm
say
telling
that.
You, I use my mind, bro. I'm telling you, I'm telekinetic,
All right.
dude.
Yeah. Do make it happen again.
I don't feel like
Make-
it. I don't
okay,
feel like
yeah.
it. All right. Tell the
Likely
train to come by.
excuse.
Tell the train. How about this? I'll make a train come by right now.
No.
Oh, what's that?
Right.
What's
Oh
that?
my, you gotta be kidding me. Come here.
I just made a train come by.
Oh, it's temperature. That's temperature. Yeah, baby.
You know, there's so many claims here at the Grand Victorian Inn, it's almost hard to keep track of. I mean, you have everything from, you know, the sounds of a tea party to seeing a man, you know, trying to warm his hands by a fire. The Grand Victorian Inn is exactly the type of place I'm looking to acquire, not only as a research facility, but a place to live with my family.
So with Gary losing his daughter and people allegedly seeing her here, you know, one thing that we've noticed with a lot of locations we've been to is that these places house a lot of love, a lot of family. And so I don't think it's far-fetched for, you know, her to still be around here. She was here a lot. This is a place that she loved, and there's a connection to this place. And Gary and Karen's keeping it alive.
When it comes to the history of the Grand Victorian, I am personally drawn to the story of the Mentz family.
I think what they endured is really inspiring.
What is it about this place that keeps people here? What is it about this place that people love?
I got started in the paranormal because I lost a brother to cancer and I lost a brother to suicide. So that was a very emotional, personal reason I got involved in this, type of research. I can't imagine what it's like to lose a child. I know my parents did. I grew up around that, seeing how they reacted and seeing how, it changed them forever.
We cannot say for certain if our findings at the Grand Victorian Inn are tied to the building's history. Rushing to define the source of our findings would be irresponsible and disrespectful to not only the location, but to Karen and Gary, who are keeping the Grand Vic's memory alive. What we can say, however, is that our own ghost story is now part of the inn's long list of paranormal claims, and we are honored to be part of it.
I was kind of scared because I had threatened to take all the fake money and leave with it. And then the spirit came through and said, I'll cut you. And so then I was like, okay, I think I need to take a break and step outside.
She had went into the detox cell. And then all of a sudden you hear this man saying, died in here.
Phil Evans was hung in 1894, and the lynch mob was so outraged with Phil Evans that they came to come get him and lynch him themselves. It was the last public hanging in Nelson County.
A lot of paranormal enthusiasts and investigators, researchers believe that entities, ghosts, spirits, whatever you want to call them, are tied to a location because of an emotional attachment, familial bonds, things like that. This location here at the Jailer's Inn, you have a mix of all that. You have traumatic deaths, you have some dark history associated with it, you have jailers that lived and worked here. So it can be anyone that could be here, possibly. So we have to look into every aspect of not only the history, but the eyewitness testimony of the reports of activity. But we also have to really, light this place up with our scientific equipment, looking into the environmental data and seeing exactly who may be here. But there's a lot of dark history here. You can kind of feel that dark history when you first walk into the building. So we kind of have to put that out of our minds and stick to, logic, try and find some natural explanations to what may be going on here first and foremost. But I think this is a very special place. I think it has all the elements of a haunting. Being that we're here in Bardstown, you have massive cave systems, you have running water throughout those cave systems and the surrounding areas. And we have a building here that's made of limestone. There's a lot of paranormal investigators that believe that limestone retains energy. I'm not sure if that theory is legitimate or not, but this building is made of limestone, and it's a theory we have to definitely test and look into. But there's definitely something special about this place. I mean, just looking at it from the outside, walking into the building, there's definitely a different feeling to the Jailer's Inn than most places.
Well, first of all, Paul, thank you so much for letting us into your very cozy jail. We are in a very tight little space right here by the cell block, which I personally love because I'm a prison nerd, which is probably a really weird thing to say, but I'm actually really excited to be here. So if you wouldn't mind introducing yourself and telling us how you acquired the jail.
Well, I'm Paul McCoy. I'm with the Jailer's Inn, or the Old County Jail, or Old Nelson County Jail here. It was a jail built in 1819, used as the county jail until 1987. And there's two jails still on site now. The building we're in now was a jail from 1819 to 1874, built the back part and converted the front part into the jailer's home. When the front part was the jail, the 3 rooms upstairs were the cells. 2 of them were prefab cages, while the one at the top of the stairs, called the upstairs dungeon room or felon room, where prisoners were shackled to the floor. But then they built the back part in 1874, and that was the jail used until 1987.
It's amazing to me that the original thought was to have jails upstairs. That seems like a really strange design for a jail. And does that have anything to do with the fact that, not to be offensive to the jail, but it seems like a lot of people escaped from here quite often. And so is that why they were putting them on the second floor?
When the 1819 jail was in use, the 3 rooms were the cells upstairs, 2 of them prefab cages. So you're locked in your room, in your cage, and upstairs to get out. So if you wanted to jump out, you'd have to jump out 15 feet off the ground to land on the ground to get away. Back jail was built in 1874 and used to 1987. The 2 buildings were connected around 1911, which is where we are now. The room behind us is referred to as women's cell, where women were incarcerated here. Nowadays, we've turned it into a bed and breakfast room, so it's a little bit nicer nowadays, rather than they get to pay to get in jail rather than pay to get out of jail nowadays. This was a jail to 1987. It sat vacant for the year. In 1988, the county didn't know what to do with it, so they put it up for public auction. My parents came to the auction. My father's an interesting fellow. He'd start bidding on it. Finally, we got a little higher. My mother pulled him aside, asked him what he was doing. He said, let's do something with this place. And she gave that next bid. That's the bid that bought the place. And not long after that, friends of theirs had a bed and breakfast outside town. She looked at the place. We got the right layout for this. And my mother started the bed and breakfast with 2 rooms upstairs and 2 rooms down, shared bathrooms. Now we've added private bathrooms to all the rooms, and have 9 total bed and breakfast rooms now.
Well, and this is a really interesting place to stay because you have so many stories that are documented with the jail. I think that's the thing that really excited me as a historical researcher with this location, is just the amount of articles I was able to find on these locations. The courtyard, we know that is where the executions would take place. And you have some really graphic photos over here on the wall of one of your probably most infamous inmates, which is Phil Evans.
Right.
Who, I mean, that case is disturbing on so many levels. And if I remember correctly, he actually confessed on the gallows that he was in fact guilty of that crime.
Right.
And what I think is really interesting about that is, yet again, you have a mob of people that are threatening to take action if what they think is justice doesn't happen.
Right. There was the local jailer heard about the lynch mob coming for Phil Evans. He wanted to uphold the law, so he snuck him out of this jail and a roundabout way took him to Louisville, then brought him back down for trial, found guilty, then hung. Still just took 3 months. But that was still not fast enough for the townspeople. It was the last public hanging in Nelson County as well.
Oh, interesting. And from what I understand, the courtyard was full of specters. Everybody wanted to see this.
Right.
And that his coffin actually laid in here and the public could come view his body.
After Phil Evans was pronounced dead, they paraded his body in a coffin to the court square, put him on the court square for public viewing. Now, in the courtyard, only the men come to the hanging, while the women and children were outside the wall having picnics. It was a big social event.
One of the cases that I'm personally drawn to is the 1885 case of Martin Hill, who, as you know, shot his wife in a drunken rage, which is tragic and horrible. But the reason why I'm really kind of drawn to it is the women of the town were so outraged by the fact that this man shot his wife that they threatened to take action into their own hands if he wasn't hung. And this is 1885. That's insane that women are threatening to kill a man if the law doesn't hang him. That's insane.
Martin Hill beat his wife. She ran into the neighbor's yard, which just so happened to be Martin Hill's brother. She was nursing her baby. Martin comes in, shoots her while she's nursing the baby.
It's a tragic case.
Tragic
a horrible case. Also with Martin Hill, he didn't end up making it to the gallows, did he? Because he died in his cell of typhoid fever?
He died of fever in his cell, excruciating deaths. They said that the inmates could hear him moaning and groaning and screaming through the night. Years later, after his death, inmates still talked about hearing the moaning and screaming that would ring again through the stone corridors with thrilling distinction.
It's crazy that you mentioned that because I actually read an article in 1909 talking about the current inmates experiencing ghostly activity, which I have never come across an article that old, especially the location that I'm doing research on, where 100 years ago people are talking about ghosts. It was such an exciting find. What is happening here? What have you experienced and what have other people experienced?
Well, personally, The ghosts don't like me. They kept their distance. I've never had an experience here. Lived here for 10 years, been here for 28 years now. They just don't like me, I guess.
Interesting.
I think certain vibes people put out and they welcome the spirit, and apparently I don't have that vibe. But many of my guests have had come here and have had many experiences regularly here. People that have had conversations with spirits. I've had a guest that walked into the courtyard and started a conversation with another man out in the courtyard. After a moment of talking to this man, he realized this man's talking about how he was hung in that courtyard. And he said, when he realized what he did, he kind of did a what? And the man was gone. And the guy has come back a couple times and goes out there and sits out in the courtyard, smokes, and see if the man reappears. And he hasn't come back yet. But he had he truly believed that he had a conversation with a man that was hung out in that courtyard.
So this must have been like a full solid body
It's
apparition.
a full body apparition, a conversation, everything.
Are there specific places within the Jailer's Inn that you have heard the most activity taking place, like specific rooms, specific entities?
Oh yes, it seems the upstairs rooms have a lot of activity, but there's been activity in just about every single room we've had here. The garden room at the upstairs room, which was at one time one of our cells, is haunted by Joshua, a 7 or 8-year-old little boy who haunts that room. I've got guests come back and bring toys and put toys out in the room for him to play with. Mischievous, not bad. He'll move stuff, he'll touch you, a lot of times you'll see an imprint on the bed where he's laying beside there, or a butt print on the bed where he's sitting there. Some people have felt him touch him, nothing bad. I've had one group that stayed in that room. It was a man, a woman, and 2 teenagers. And my innkeeper at the time was telling some ghost stories to them, and then they went on to bed. Well, they got a little freaked out with what was going on in the activity in the room. So the one woman's been here before, comes talk to us, and so my innkeeper went and talked to him, told Joshua to leave him alone, they were ready to go to bed. About half an hour later, this time, the woman is down here talking to the innkeeper again, but the man and the 2 teenagers are outside, scared to death, come back in the room, back in the building.
Do you have any idea who Joshua is?
No, there's nothing that I know of documenting who he was, just as Joshua has started from ghost hunters that have had communications, and those that are sensitive that communicate and talk to him. The doorbell rang about midnight. I thought someone might want a room. I go check the doorbell, no one's there. Go back upstairs and the doorbell's still going off. So I go back down and unplug the doorbell at the front door. Well, the one upstairs was still going off. So I went upstairs. By this time it had been going for so long it started to smolder. So I cut the wire to that one and finally get it. Rewired it all and it still was acting up. So that was one probably experience that affected my wife the most there.
I'm curious, so you guys have an underground tunnel that connects to both the courthouse and the Talbot Tavern, just like the Talbot Tavern has obviously one to the courthouse and over here. Was there ever a time that potentially the inmates used that to get out of here, or was that just like no man's land? That's how they got in and out, but never to escape?
Well, the cave system that runs all underneath Bardstown is called St. Joe Caves. It was the jail originally was connected to the cave system, the tavern, and the previous courthouse. All these were back in the 1800s. Now, all parts of it have been caved in since then. And the main entrance, not too far from here, was when I was a child, you can crawl, or you can walk in there 400 or 500 yards back into it. Now, you can maybe get 50 feet crawling. So it's all filled in, caved in. But a great story with the cave system here, there's a fiddler who loved to go back in the fiddle with his dog and play his fiddle with down the caves. He loved the acoustics of it all. Well, there's a cave in, and he was trapped underneath there. But days and days after the cave in, they could still hear him playing the fiddle and the dog barking. And one of the lores of the town is that some days you can still hear a fiddle being playing with the dog barking with it.
They never got him out?
They never got him out.
No, the dog. This is devastating. Oh, I mean, the fiddler too, but the dog. Oh my God. One quick thing that I want to touch on really quick, because it was a big part of our investigation at the Talbot, is Jesse James.
Mm-hmm.
We know he liked to hang out in Bardstown, and a big reason is because one of the sheriffs here was buddies with him.
Not only buddies, they're family. Frank and Jesse James' first cousin was married to the sheriff here in town, Donnie Pence. And not only was Donnie Pence family with him, he was friends. He actually rode with Frank and Jesse and the Quantrill Raiders out of Missouri during the Civil War. Supposedly, Frank James saved Donnie Pence's life during one of those skirmishes.
Gotta love it.
So they knew they can come here and be safe from the law, within the law.
It's good to have a sheriff on your side.
It is.
It really is.
So they come here to Bardstown. They respected the sheriff not to rob any of the banks in town, luckily. They go to Avon, drink, party, shoot it up over there. There's a couple of murals that the Jesse James shot up over there. Then they come back here, stay there, or Donnie Pence's home was about 8 miles out.
My name's Emino, and I've been into the paranormal since I was little. I investigated the Jailers Inn back in 2020 with a group of friends. And we had a lot of weird stuff happen. Like in one of the rooms, the alarm clock just started going off for no reason. And we're not sure why it did that. And then we turned it off, and then it started going off again. And then in the jail cell, we had some K2 meter hits, which was like responsive to what we was asking yes and no questions, and it was going off, answering the questions. But the main thing that happened was upstairs, we did an Estes session. And during that Estes session, we got a spirit come through, and he said his name was Jesse. And I'm pretty positive it was Jesse James, but we kept trying to get him to tell us what his last name was, but he wouldn't tell us what his last name was. But he kept talking about money and tunnels and everything that Jesse James would have done when he was here in Bardstown. I was kind of scared because I had threatened to take all the fake money and leave with it. And then the spirit came through and said, "I'll cut you." And so then I was like, okay, I think I need to take a break and step outside. The feeling I had was just anxious, anxiety, I need to get out because I don't know what this is and it's threatening to hurt me and I don't want to be hurt by whatever this is. I feel like it was a little bit darker in here than it is at the Talbot. The Talbot, I think, has their known ghosts that hang around, but here it was just more darker, I feel like. And I'm not sure what it is, or if it's prisoners that was here that was kind of just hanging around. But yeah, that's how I feel. I do think the executions have something to do with the darkness and just the way that they were hung in the courtyard for everybody to see. I know if that was me, I wouldn't be very happy with that. I do think that the haunting here is connected to the Talbot. I know Jesse's known to be shown at the Talbot, and he'll come show himself in an apparition or in an EVP, but I do think maybe he comes here sometimes too.
I'm Ashley McGeorge, and I'm from Shepherdsville, Kentucky.
Hey, I'm Whitney Peevler from Shepherdsville, and we started going to bed and breakfast, and a lot of the bed and breakfast around Kentucky have a large history behind them. All the buildings are old, and there's always some ghost story behind that bed and breakfast. And so we search those, we stay the night at them, and we just kind of walk around, see if we can hear anything. 'Cause we're really interested in the paranormal. I was just searching haunted places in Kentucky. And I'm like, this sounds so neat. We can stay the night in an actual jail cell.
You think that's neat?
Yeah.
We're weird. I think what brought us here is pretty much the claims and just the deaths and then the violent deaths that happen here. As soon as we got here, obviously they were friendly. They showed us that there's a Ouija board here. She touched it, I didn't. But it kind of really nothing started until around, once it got dark, probably
10:30.
around 10:30. And we were chilling in the cell after going out and going live on Facebook, talking to everybody, telling them where we were. So we had came in, we were just chilling in the room, and we decided to go out into the cells and stuff like that. And that's when we heard a voice. I think it was something like, died in here. She had went into the detox cell, and she was recording. She says, "I don't know what this is." And then all of a sudden you hear this man saying something before this. We can't even understand what it was.
We didn't hear it in person.
Yeah, and we just
was
now
on
found
film.
out 3 years ago, or 3 years later. But he said someone died in here. Our blood ran cold.
Detox cell. I'm not sure what this is.
I had a creepy feeling from the beginning, but I'm going to a scary place that's haunted, you know, so, but that's just me.
There's a lot of artifacts that are from whenever it was a jail. They used to hang people. A lot of the hangings didn't go well. And I think that that conjures up a lot of negative spirits and entities. Well, there's calcite in the caves, which is a conductor for the paranormal. And also, Native Americans used the caves, and also there was a tuberculosis hospital in Mammoth Cave as well.
All right, guys, jailer's in. Here we go. Intense place, a lot of pretty dark history.
A lot of history. I mean, we have people dying in cells. We have people being executed in the back courtyard. I mean, you really kind of can't ask for darker history than that.
Yeah, I mean, we got this hood and the shackles used for one of the executions here. You have this story of this guy dying of typhoid fever in one of the cells. I mean, this ghost story goes back over 100 years, right?
Yeah. I mean, we're talking 1800s. This guy shot and killed his wife and then was going to be hung, but died of typhoid fever in his cell, and people say they hear him screaming. So that's pretty freaking dark.
So he's got unfinished business.
Hell yeah. Well, and then apparently it sounds like the legend is that his spirit of his wife's ghost followed him here too. So are you dealing with two? I don't know.
Curious to see what this feels like with all the lights off back there. Now this is dark and more settled outside. I've yet to be in this place at nighttime. I know yesterday walking in here during the day gave me a headache and kind of nauseous. And it hasn't done that today, but we'll see how it is now.
Yeah, I mean, like we've seen in our other investigations, sometimes that vibe will change, like in a heartbeat. Right now I feel pretty good, but we're gonna go and explore the depths of the jail and get all up in there and see if we can recreate some of these claims that people have of EVPs. I mean, I find it really interesting that that individual was Martin Hill, who died of typhoid fever. He's in there and he's screaming in the detox room, and that's where people said they captured EVPs, and they didn't even know about the history. So I think when we go in there, we're gonna run some audio. Nice thing about this place, thick ass limestone walls. Probably not a lot of noise pollution, especially all the way down there. I mean, I was trying to holler at you before when we were setting up equipment. Nobody could hear me.
No.
So nobody could hear you scream.
All right, that being said, let's get you guys down there first. So you guys can check out those, the detox cell, that entire wing of the jail cells. And, you know, Kevin being a former jailer, I think that's gonna be pretty interesting to see what happens.
With my background, working in jail in the past, being a deputy sheriff, putting people in jail, taking people out of jail, I'm really excited to see if my background changes the way that the investigation goes tonight with the energies. As of the reports with this jail being dark, I have investigated places where darker spirits are said to reside. I personally don't think I've really encountered that before. I feel like I have a pretty good protection and boundary set up. So I'm not too concerned about it, but it's always something to be cautious of no matter where you're at.
Since walkies can trigger EMF detecting devices, we've strictly prohibited their use during our investigations.
Yes.
Let's just try in the end of the hall here. Maybe we don't have to be in a room. We have a whole cabinet full of things here.
It's a good idea. Set it down on the cabinet.
I'll pull up this
Paralight?
Let's pull up this Paralight. So basically an EMF detector. And the closer things get to it, this will light up and let us know that something's close.
You know what we'll do? We have that there. Temperature drop, normal. Let me put this bad boy here. Anybody wants to come and talk to us, you're more than welcome to. We're at the end of the hallway, near the very last cell. We have a few devices here. We got a box on the top bunk on the right-hand side, and it's got orange numbers on it. If you touch it, breathe into it, that'll let us know that you're here. We also have a white egg-shaped device on the floor. If you step in front of that, that'll also let us know that you're here. We also got this lantern. touch that, it'll light up like a Christmas tree. It's pretty cool. I find it interesting if there are entities here, right? And Paul has this as a bed and breakfast. Isn't that kind of like, and wouldn't you react weirdly to that? It's like, oh, here, I'm here locked up in prison, and like other people are coming here willingly to come and sleep.
See what happens if I take this and I walk in here and kind of isolate myself from people.
Do it.
Makes me a little bit more on my own. Excuse me, sir.
No, you got a bunk, mate. I used to have the same shirt as that guy.
Okay, now I'm in here by myself. If you can see me and hear me, will you come up and touch this device so I can know?
What was
Yes,
that?
that means yes.
What was that, the power light?
Yep. So that means you can see me, correct? Do it one more time. Will you come and touch this one more time for me? I went all the way up to the top.
Kevin.
Yeah.
Can you put the EDI next to it? See if we can get corroborating shit. Yeah, there we go. You guys notice that power light detects EMF, right? But there's no EMF in the room. It's at 0 on that EDI plus. So that's pretty interesting. What's it set on in your tri-field?
Tri-field's at 0.9, but that's not enough to make this go all the way up to the top like it did.
Okay.
I think whatever was in here left.
Yeah? Maybe it's in the detox cell.
Sometimes when you're in here and you can feel like a presence. It's kind of a little bit heavier air pressure in here, kind of like walking into a sauna or something like that. Makes it kind of like the air is thick, heavy, kind of hard to breathe. I started to feel that a little bit when the paralyze started going off, but now it's back to feeling just calm. So I'm gonna take this and move down here and try a different cell and see if maybe it follows us or maybe it's there waiting on us. All right, now we're in a different cell. This one has a lot of different items. Do you like this room? I heard that. Did you make one of these items on this wall? I live in Bardstown and was born to raise hell, but the law caught me and threw me in jail. Now here I am still doing time with nothing but freedom on my mind. But one day soon I will be free and jail will have seen the last of me.
What's going on? Nothing?
So as soon as I walked in and set this down, it went off.
What about the EDI?
Nothing.
Okay.
So I don't know if it was attracted to something on this wall.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was trying to pick one of those items up or try to use it or what, but no other responses since then.
The activity Kevin and Mustafa documented led them to believe that whatever is there was reluctant to interact. I headed into the jail with a single camera to see if fewer investigators would lead to a change in activity. You're over here, can you come up and touch this device that's in my hand, please? Hello? I just heard a sound hitting one of these bars. Sounded like that, very similar. Sound like it was coming from this detox cell. This is where they say that man died of typhoid fever was in here. And they say they hear his screams, and we're talking about articles that go back 100 years. They were talking about this man that screams in the cell, and it sounded like we're hearing hitting, like banging on these jail cells, these bars. Now that feeling's back again that I'm having. Are you right here? It's freezing in here, right?
Why is it so cold? There's no windows.
It's like way colder in here than it was in there. There again, right? It's like, it's not a radiator or anything. Obviously, there's no heat in here. Whoa, did you hear that? I heard a voice. Whoa, shit. What the hell is going on right now? Are you out there? Come here, please. Oh, the temperature's dropping. Did you get that?
Yeah.
It's like physically cold right now.
Yeah, it's getting colder.
Like, this is like freezing. This thing is so cold. Are you dropping the temperature here, or are you aware that you can do that? It is so, like, it's like right here. Like, my hands are freezing. Jesus. Are you familiar with the Talbot Tavern? It's freezing cold in here. Come on out. Come talk with us, please. So as soon as we walked into that room over here, the detox cell, where they say that a lot of activity takes place, this man screaming, they've had a lot of sightings in there. We were brought to that area because we heard what sounded like almost like banging on the steel in there, like the jail cell, the bars, and instantly it was drastically colder. I mean, way colder. We started to have changes in temperature, drops in temperature as soon as we walked in that area. Can you come out and show yourself, please? Are you in here? Oh, there we go. Temperature change. I'm getting that feeling again. It's like literally like look at right there, boom. It's like we're chasing a freaking cloud. It's like this, and look at I move. You right here? Every time we walk into that and the environment changes like that, I feel this sensation in my stomach that makes you feel sick. And it like takes off. You see that? Because if it was right here. You can physically feel that cold. God, it's like every time we walk into it, like it just physically makes you feel strange. Oh, there we go, it's still going. Temperature is continuing to drop. It's dropping and dropping and dropping. It's getting colder and colder and colder. Right? I can feel it physically moving and I'm like chasing it. It is insane. Look at it, seriously. That is so, I think it went out this right here. It's like right here, I can feel it, like physically. Oh my God. We can feel you, we can sense you. I do not like that room right there. We're just like gone now. It's like it took off, but we're like chasing it around that room. Oh, there it is again, right here. Oh, Look at this. We're chasing it, dude. Look at this.
Guys,
What?
Brandon, I'm getting some weird movement in front of that camera.
Say what?
I'm seeing some weird movement here. I
Where?
saw something weird as hell. It was like a foggy thing that kind of like moved like this.
A fog?
It was almost like a, like you see how this looks right here?
Yeah.
But it was like mirrored here, but it was moving like this, like it was shifting. But the camera wasn't shifting. And it was clear, it was undeniable. But it was around the edge. I kind of saw it go over here. It's so hard to explain. It was freaking weird.
hell? Okay.
And it didn't look like a shadow.
Malia sees in real time the strange cloud we physically felt pass through us in the jail on our night vision camera. Prior to her sighting, the same camera logged other instances of what appears to be a floating shadow we've been following.
What? Hear stuff down there?
What'd you hear?
It sounded like keys, but were they playing with keys in there? Or was it sounded like it was coming from over there?
Go.
Yeah.
Go.
Wait, motion detector just went off.
Motion detector's off, guys.
Motion detector just went off.
That's what it's about.
Holy crap.
What you got?
Pressure, straight just pressure, not with temperature. Hello? Is there someone here?
Where you at?
Pressure, it's in this room. Pressure. Are you setting this off on your own? Gone, it's not here anymore. You can feel it. It was like I was feeling some kind of like weird electric tingle.
Where'd you go?
I don't want to be here, man.
What's going on?
Dude.
You in here?
I can feel, it's gonna sound crazy, I can feel it whatever when it's here. I know.
You felt
when
it?
I felt it, dude. I knew when it was gonna be here. This room, all right, just so people know, like this room, you see this? This isn't a sexy thing you wanna show on a TV show. It's just the back room, right, or whatever. But I knew it was moving down this hallway, and I'm just like, fuck this, I'm gonna follow it with this. And temperature drop, pressure, and I'm like, I knew it was gonna go in here. It doesn't want people to be in here.
This is exactly where I was when I heard the footsteps on this stairwell, and I grabbed the EDI off of this, and I went up right here, and that's when the pressure started to change.
Yeah. And what did I say? I went in there, I started feeling that thing, I was like pressure, I knew it was gonna go off, looking at it, and then I'm like, it's not gonna happen anymore. I said it, it's gone. It didn't happen anymore.
You don't feel it anymore?
No, it's fucking gone, dude. I know it.
That's exactly what happened to me. It was like that feeling I was having the entire time. As soon as that pressure change happened, that sound on the staircase, gone. But then I walked down to that detox cell and walked right back into it. It's like you walk into a cloud almost.
But you heard the sound on the staircase and then it was gone. Gone. Same shit happened.
Yep.
I was at Old Nazareth Hospital in Mineral Wells, Texas, and I felt like I had to chase something, the EDI. What I felt like I was chasing at Old Nazareth, I felt like I was chasing a person. And every time I'd experience it, or whatever it was, I'd get pressure and temperature drops on the EDI, and then my left side, I'd feel some kind of weird sensation. When I would walk away from that, I was fine. But whenever I encountered that, I felt a little ill. And then I felt like, it's gonna sound crazy, but I felt like something was strangling me. Over here, I felt like I was walking into a cloud. And when I did that, my stomach would hurt, like I had food poisoning, like I ate some like really bad food, like, while traveling abroad. I don't know what it is, but whatever it is, it's like a floating cloud. Then of whatever, a floating cloud of environmental changes that makes you feel like you want to, puke.
I've never experienced a floating cloud of environmental changes. Like, I mean, literally you walk into it and the sensors are picking up changes in pressure and temperature. You walk out of it, it's gone. You walk back into it, you're, again, pressure and temperature, and you physically feel affected. Like, you feel like you're sick. I think the best way, like Mustafa said, is like food poisoning. Like you feel physically ill. Not only your stomach starts to like get sick, but like the rest of your body feels ill.
And how did you feel when you walked out?
It's fine.
Same.
And like you're chasing it, and we're getting like pressure changes. I mean, I don't know what to say. That's really wild. All right, now we have the EMCCD set up, and we'll do some monitoring down here with the EMCCD. So because we've So because we've been having this almost cloud-like sensation, flowing throughout the entire jail cell area, we're getting pressure changes, temperature changes like crazy. Usually pressure changes indicate, in our experience, some kind of event's about to happen. So now we have the EMCCD camera set up. Being that you saw that mist earlier,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like this camera is way more suited to something like that. So if that happens again, and you seeing that mist correlates with that sensation we were feeling, and then actually documenting temperature and pressure changes.
Absolutely.
That should, hopefully we can get on this camera. That would take it that step further. But we're the first ones to really start testing the paranormal photon theory, and we're starting to see a correlation between photon. Right there was a photon event right there.
What?
Boom, yeah.
Shit, I missed it.
Yeah, right there, as I was talking about it, right here. So Mustafa, can you note this?
Yeah.
10 minutes, 23 seconds.
Oh, what?
Whoa, pressure changes.
The hell?
Look at,
Oh my God.
and there was a photon event there, but it.
I'm fine. It's cool.
10 minutes, 23 seconds, right?
Yep. There was a big one right here. Right here.
What did it look like?
It was like very squiggly. It was red. Well, what's interesting, again, is like we go in, we have this sensation like we're walking into a cloud. It's like a thickness to it. You can actually physically feel it. We are documenting changes in the environment associated with that, and you're having physical reactions to it. Your stomach becomes sick, your body feels weak. You step out of that, the readings stop. No more changes in the environment, and that sensation within your body stops. So if we had the EMCCD camera running at that time, were those light events, were those photon events that we typically see on that, were they somehow coming into contact with us? Is that our reaction to something like that? We don't know, we're just theorizing, but it's definitely interesting.
It was heavy. It was a really heavy feeling. It would make sense that there's a lot of feelings of dread and a sense of longing and loneliness. I can only imagine what it felt like to be a prisoner, to be locked up here.
Rarely do investigations yield as wide a variety of experiences supported by documented environmental changes as our time at the Jailer's Inn did.
I think what I'm feeling is kind of the residual energy of maybe what the inmates themselves were experiencing.
Our scattered EMF spikes,
Went all the way up to the top.
followed by sharp drops in temperature, spikes in barometric pressure,
Straight just pressure.
and video on multiple cameras of this so-called floating cloud. We captured all correlated with our personal experiences. What's most intriguing is that this phenomena has been experienced by members of our own team in different locations in the past. We can't ignore the physical feelings of sickness that occurred when we presumably interacted with this cloud and the symptoms of former prisoner Martin Hill, who died of typhoid fever in the detox cell. Our evidence suggests that we may very well have documented a more than 100-year-old ghost story, one that's been told by prisoners of the jail for decades, is very much alive and repeatedly playing itself out at the Jailer's Inn.
The story is, it was in the 1890s. At one time they called Louisville the graveyard of the West. Supposedly when she started dabbling in the black arts, that's when things went downhill for her. We're in the Russell Houston mansion, and we're on the second floor front room, which is supposedly where the governess to the children of the family once lived. Her name was Annie Whipple. There is a lot of written documentation about there being a lot of hoodoo practices and communities in this area. They came to her house one night and cut off her arm as a way of teaching her a lesson, to not dabble in the black arts.
Ellen, first of all, thank you so much for having us in your lovely home. It is truly spectacular. If you could please introduce yourself and tell us when you bought the Bourbon Inn and why you bought it.
My name's Ellen Stauffer, and I bought the Bourbon Inn last March. Found this property for sale and realized that I had another chapter left in me, and this seemed like the good place to do it.
We're here because your house is allegedly haunted, but more specifically, we're here because your house is the location of what I think is Louisville's strangest urban legend, which is that of Annie Whipple.
Oh, yes. So the first history that I heard was, obviously it was built in the 1880s. It took them 4 years to build it. It was built for Russell Houston. There was nothing left on the table. They, it was a show of opulence and grandeur everywhere you look. The story that I know is that he was married and had children, and his wife died. And when he was in his late 60s or early 70s, he married a younger woman who was in her late 20s, and they proceeded to have several more children. And the story that as I said, what I have been told is that his third child was born when he was 76. So we were always like, that Russell got it going on. So that was the story as I had heard it.
Now we start getting into this, okay, so if Russell didn't remarry, if he died in the house and his funeral was held in the house, and so that is in print, that was in the papers, he was prominent. Like, it's very obvious that Russell Houston meant a lot to the people of Louisville. His birthday parties were in the newspapers. His death was in the newspapers. Like, people really paid attention to what the Houstons were doing.
Right.
And then his wife dies in the home. So now we have two deaths, right? So we have the Houstons.
Right.
And what I find interesting is I start thinking, and I'm like, okay, but he had kids, so who could Annie Whipple have possibly been the governess to? That's the question, right? Because the legend is there was a governess to the children, one of the children was sick, and she helped, and she ends up practicing, gets into witchcraft, and there's this amazing legend that surrounds her. But who was the kid? So that's we have to start with that, right? Who was the child? Because all of Russell's children were fully grown when they were living in the house.
Right. The other thing that I had heard, of course, is her reign or tenure was here during the Spanish flu. That was supposedly the epidemic that the children got sick, and when Annie crossed over into the dark arts to help save them. So timing-wise, you're talking almost 40 years after the house was built and the Houstons had lived here. So maybe it was one of their children. I don't know. I have heard from the former innkeeper that people will see her. And I've not had any of my guests see her, and I've never seen her, but they'll see a woman in black, shrouded in black on the stairs, that kind of thing. It is a strong legend. As you found a lot about it, I've heard a lot about it. It's very interesting to me. We've done historic home tours, and people have come through, and there's discussion about the house, and I think I know something, and they're like, oh no, you're wrong. And so there is a lot of kind of ambiguity, I guess, surrounding all of that. And as you said, you look at the death records, Russell was married to his wife, and they lived here forever. And the other thing that I'd heard later was that this was built for his retirement home. And I think he was only in it about 8 years or so before he died. And then she was, 9 years younger than he was, and she died almost 9 years after he did.
So the story of Annie Whipple is associated with the house.
Yes.
And there's a lot of ghost stories that attribute themselves to that legend. So I'm really curious. You're the homeowner. You live here. You have guests come and stay in this beautiful place.
Yes,
I want to know, what have you experienced and what have your guests experienced?
It's interesting that I did not hear about Annie Whipple until after I had purchased the home. And so what I had heard about, it was funny, what I had heard about was the ghost cat, which supposedly is at the carriage house, and that people would hear meowing, and they would feel like a cat had brushed up against their leg. I was talking to my sister on the phone, and she said, I want you to put me on FaceTime so we can look at the house. So we came in, and of course, I'm just enchanted. I'm enchanted with the thick doorways. I'm enchanted with all the hardware. I'm enchanted with the chandelier, all those things. And so I'm walking through, and she said to me, "What's with the cat, the concrete cat?" And I'm telling her about the legend of the ghost cat. And she is not a cat person. And she said to me, "Why does it have to be a cat?" Just like that. And all of a sudden, all the lights just start flickering. And I thought, oh, there's got to be a short or something. So immediately I said, "I love cats. Cats are my favorite." Like, I don't know if we made somebody mad, but I like cats, so we're all good. So that has been, there are odd things that happen in the house. And also when I purchased the home, I can't tell you the number of people that said to me, "You're not going to scare the ghost away, are you? You're not going to." So it does very much have that reputation.
Yeah.
But the other thing that's interesting is, a book flying out of a bookshelf for no reason.
What room did that happen in?
That happened actually in the hallway, kind of by the servant staircase. And so that's kind of an interesting thing, and it's happened twice. And the same book. Yes. So and it was all I ever needed to know. I learned in kindergarten. So I don't know if that was a sign of something. I have no idea.
That's really fascinating.
Yeah. So kind of interesting. And also there'll be times that I think that the door's been left open because there'll be quite a breeze. And you just know there's got to be something open, and there is not. I'm very particular about how our beds are made. It's part of what we do. We want them to be the most comfortable and soft and just so. And so I had been in the home alone for a couple days, and we were getting ready for guests and going upstairs to turn the lights on before they come. And I noticed that there is the imprint of a bottom on the bed, like somebody's been sitting there.
Which bedroom was
that? And it would have been in the third, it would have been on the third floor, what I assume would be the governess room. So it was kind of a funny thing. And I kept thinking, who's been up here? And I know I would have never sat on the bed because once they're made, we want to keep them that way, that was also kind of a wild thing that happened.
So going into tonight's investigation, do you have any advice for the team?
I think if you just enjoy the spirit of the house, that would be the biggest thing, because it definitely has one. You can feel it. Just the ambiance and the, yeah. So I think that would be my advice. Just walk with your eyes open and take it all in.
Guys, when you were talking, there was noises upstairs. Is there anybody up there? Hello? Somebody upstairs? Are one of the windows open or something?
No, they should not be.
My name's David Domine. I live in Louisville, Kentucky. I write about old Louisville. According to legend, Annie Whipple was a kind of mysterious figure who arrived from the East Coast. They say she came from Maine, and her husband was a whaling captain who had been lost at sea. And she came to Louisville. Back then, Louisville was kind of a gateway city. We were the jumping off point to many places in the Wild West. And she came here to get a new start. And she had been a teacher, and so she was hired by different wealthy families to educate their children. And supposedly she was hired by Judge Russell Houston to be the nanny and the governess to his children in this house. It was in the 1890s. At one time they called Louisville the graveyard of the West because of our location in the Ohio River Valley. It's kind of a basin area. They said Louisville was usually more prone to diseases and epidemics than other parts of the country. Yellow fever, cholera, typhoid, things like that. Supposedly during one of these epidemics, the children of the family became sick, and Annie became their nursemaid, and she tended to them. There were 3 children, and she was able to nurse the 2 older ones to health. The youngest one, a young girl, she wasn't able to nurse to health. And doctors had come. Doctors told the family to kind of prepare for the worst. They didn't think that this little girl was going to make it. Annie refused to give up, though. She stayed at the girl's bedside, tried to make her comfortable, mopped her brow, and while she sat there, Annie would entertain herself by reading the local newspaper, books and things like that. And she came from a religious family, supposedly. She didn't believe in things dealing with the occult and paranormal, but one day as she was sitting at the girl's bedside, she supposedly read about a phenomenon, something that was becoming popular in Louisville, something that was popular other places, but it was called automatic writing. The idea was certain people had a talent to commune with the dead, and given the right circumstances, people on the other side could reach through the veil, and using your body, using your hands, they could write messages. And Annie Whipple didn't really believe this, but she, read about this. Well, she also read a story about a doctor across the river by the name of Dr. Anderson. And Louisville is right on the Ohio River, so the next state on the other side of the river is Indiana, and the nearest town in Indiana is Jeffersonville. Annie Whipple read about a well-known doctor by the name of Dr. Anderson who had very unorthodox practices. He was able to cure anything, and some people called him a witch doctor. But he still had this reputation for doing miraculous cures and things like that. So after all the things Annie tried didn't work, she got it in her head that, well, maybe she went and saw Dr. Anderson. He might be able to cure this little girl, that was kind of languishing on her deathbed. So one day, it was the next day, Annie Whipple hitched the horses to the carriage, and she drove across the one bridge that went across the Ohio River to Jeffersonville. She found out where Dr. Anderson lived, and she pulled up to his house, and she saw that the front of the house, the porch and the windows were all decked out with black bunting and crepe, which was a sign of mourning. And it turns out Dr. Anderson had died the very night before, maybe as she was reading, the article about him. And so she turned around and came back to the Russell Houston mansion. And she was, of course, crestfallen. That was her last hope. But that night, as she sat next to the little girl's bed and tended to her and read the newspapers like she normally did, she saw this article again talking about automatic writing. And supposedly there were several people who had come to the city to, display their skill in automatic writing and talk about it. And when Annie Whipple read this story, all of a sudden she got this idea that maybe she could use automatic writing to contact Dr. Anderson, who had just died. He was freshly dead. He was probably still reachable on the other side. And in this neighborhood, there was a famous voodoo woman. They called it hoodoo around here. Her name was Josephine. And right around the corner is a famous gnarled tree where Josephine used to meet her clients. So Annie Whipple made an appointment to meet Josephine and explained her predicament and said, she needed to contact this spirit. This doctor had recently died, and he was the only one that she believed would be able to cure this little girl. And of course, Josephine, the hoodoo woman, knew exactly what it was all about, said, oh yes. And she took some money from Annie Whipple and then gave her this satchel with some magic powder in it. She gave her a gardenia candle and a parchment with a kind of prayer that was written out. And she said, well, what you have to do, if you're willing to contact the dead and they're willing to commune with you, you have to sit down at the table, light this candle, you incant this prayer, you invite the spirit to come and kind of possess you and use your body to write messages. And if they're so inclined, things will kind of go from there. And so Annie Whipple rushed back here to the Houston mansion, to this room where she used to have her bed and her desk. She sat down at the desk, put out the paper, sprinkled it with the magic powder, lit the candle, said this prayer and said, Dr. Anderson, you're the only one that can help this little girl, you know. I know you've recently departed this realm, but if you could just kind of help me come up with a cure for this little girl. She's become like my own daughter. If you could help me, you know, I'd be forever indebted. And supposedly Annie Whipple fell into a kind of trance. And when she woke up, the paper that she had laid out in front of her had this writing that she didn't recognize. It was a different kind of handwriting, and it was in a language she didn't know.
This tree is at the center of the story of Annie Whipple, and I've been thinking a lot about that ghost story. And I always want to know, like, why certain stories people like. I guess a lot of people like Hamlet because, you know, people hate it when their moms remarry somebody. But I think that a lot of people identify with the Annie Whipple stories because no matter what, she was willing to put her life at risk and sacrifice herself in order to save somebody else. Apparently, witches, they would go and they make offerings here. People would come here and they would make some type of ceremonial offering. So I've brought some ceremonial items to offer to maybe charge the energy of the investigation. So I brought some things that really mean a lot to me. 2 things that mean the most to me in this world. I didn't bring my children, that would be inappropriate. But I've got some chocolate and a vape. I'm gonna go with the chocolate to give to the tree. I guess, maybe, can we see some ghosts in the Louisville Bourbon Inn? Can you make Brandon really happy and show up on a camera? If you want to possess me, you can. I don't really like myself that much, so if you could possess me with like a cool demon, that would be good. I would like that. So possess me, or at the very least show up on camera and talk to us. And I offer this chocolate and my soul, actually. And here you go. Oh, great tree, take the chocolate, take my soul. Get us some good activity tonight. Mustafa out. Bye, Witch's Tree.
The biggest question we had going into this investigation was if the constant retelling of a local legend possibly willed it into existence. We put this thought-form manifestation theory to the test by following Annie Whipple's footsteps. After making an offering to the Witch's Tree, we will recreate the seance she learned from Lady Josephine to test if living out this tragic myth, in spite of it being untrue, can possibly manifest sightings of Annie into existence.
Hi, Angelique.
Hi.
Malia.
Malia, pleased to meet you.
Pleased to meet you. I'm so excited about what you're going to bring to tonight. I think you are literally going to make this all the difference in the world. I'm so excited.
I'm setting up some multi-sensors in here, basically kind of logging the environment to figure out if any changes happen. We already had some in here to kind of get a baseline. Now that we're going to introduce her into the environment, we'll see if there's any changes. And I got a couple other things. I got a thermal camera as well. So if any environmental changes happen, we should be able to capture that.
I read that she did automatic writing, so I try to get as close to her. So I've got sketch paper, an ink, and an old-fashioned pen because she would have used that style. Gopher dust. Put in this jar. It's basically a bunch of different ingredients, mostly involving protection.
Okay.
They're dirt from different people's graves. I basically bought it off of them by paying some money at the cemetery gates and also bringing them some flowers so that they could extra protect us.
Okay.
Basically, what I practice is a spiritismo. It's like the Spanish version of spiritualism. And part of it is I have to cover my head. And the reason being, I don't know if you guys as ghost hunters or if you're kind of sensitive, but sometimes ghosts try to enter in through your head. We call this an
Really?
orrery.
Okay.
And it's a good thing you wear a hat, you know, it's always not, or cleanse yourself.
Good thing I get the protection.
I put Florida water in a spritz bottle.
I love
Spray
Florida
it on
water.
me. Yeah, it's a great smell.
I love it.
But you can also use it for cleansing yourself.
I'm just still stuck on ghosts entering through the head. Like, I got a bald spot, so like I'm worried about that.
Oh.
Just coming in through there.
Can you get some tinfoil or something?
Yeah, I'm gonna get, I know something. Wear a helmet.
So basically, in this is regular water, but to kind of spruce it up, I added some Florida water.
Okay.
Sometimes you might put other colognes in there. Colognes are protective and cleansing.
And what's the purpose of this is for, like you said, cleansing and protection,
Yeah,
things
pretty
like that?
much. We're recreating a seance.
Okay.
I'm kind of mixing my version with their version. I just know from experience, some seances I've been to have been pretty hardcore. And of course, not on camera, but I've seen people possessed where I had to clear spirits out of them.
Whoa.
And so some of these are for that. Yeah,
Okay.
I've seen some wild stuff.
Okay.
I'm Angelique Stacy, and I'm a tour guide with Louisville Historic Tours. I do practice espiritismo, which is a type of spiritualism. I'm also an initiate into Santeria and Olorisha. Sometimes folks are inclined to use Santeria, voodoo, hoodoo, those things interchangeably. However, though they are of similar essence, they are actually from different parts of the African continent. So they are, while names might be a little bit similar, it's specific entities that we're working, or angels, as some people call them, to use a word that's kind of interchangeable. You don't have to be initiated to practice hoodoo. It's good to have a teacher because you don't want to mess with things that you don't understand, or maybe, for example, working with graveyard dirt. You just don't want to go into any graveyard willy-nilly grabbing things. You want to pay respect to the certain spirits. And so there are certain protocols that are important to learn. I have seen people get jumped by spirits who don't have the human's best interest at heart. And so I've seen people need to have those removed. It was about 8 years ago, and I was volunteering for the dining at the mansions. So a couple of us came back to this particular mansion to wait for folks to eat through their dinner and collect them later. I was sitting with another docent on a couple of chairs in this same room, looking at both of the staircases, the main staircase here behind me and the servant staircase up in the back. And we joked about if Annie Whipple would come down these stairs, and at that moment, something caught me out of the corner of my eye, and I started to look up the back staircase, and what I saw was a pretty firm outline of, not like a totally dark shadow, but an outline of a very proper woman, corseted with great posture, kind of hair done up like mine, walk up the staircase that way at a very steady pace.
We have not had any changes in the environment. Nothing unusual has taken place in any way, shape, or form. So
excellent.
It's going to be interesting to see what happens here when Angelique recreates what Annie Whipple did, right?
Yeah. From what I read, and maybe your researchers folks found more, that basically she got some dust from Lady Josephine.
I've not seen anything in writing about Josephine. It's been passed on through tales and stories over the generations. But one of the stories is that Josephine only had one arm. And the legend is that the locals, they knew she was practicing voodoo, and with the arm that she used to cast spells and give her potions and things, they supposedly, like, a mob of peasants with pitchforks and torches, they came to her house one night and cut off her arm as a way of teaching her a lesson, to not dabble in the black arts. And the funny thing is that there are newspaper accounts that kind of coincide with this time period, where at the house next door one morning, the residents awoke and they found a black woman's arm hanging from their front door. It had been hung there by a wire.
Oddly enough, this is not the strangest dinner I've ever been to.
I'm gonna walk over there and kind of cleanse myself with the water. So yeah, the back of the neck, the head, underneath the knees and the elbows are all places where ghosts like to enter in your body.
Really?
This keeps them out of my body, so hopefully they will just use my hands. I'm stating that intention in case there is anybody here we are trying to contact. Anybody else like to
I can do it.
cleanse?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll cleanse, sure.
Yeah, basically all you do is walk up to that bowl
I'll do
of
it as
water, put it on the back of your neck, on the top of your head.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know I'm losing my hair too. I totally feel you.
Okay, so just arms, back of head, and all that?
Yeah. Kind of like you're wiping yourself off.
Oh, I grew up Muslim. I did this a lot, so it's fine.
Perfect, okay. Things are same, culture's over.
Yeah. And then all over my body?
Yeah.
Okay. Doing
Kind of the
that.
head down, flick it off.
Okay, flicked it off.
All right, let's try this.
Ooh, that's nice.
Yeah, it feels refreshing.
I want to make that, use that myself. That's pretty great.
Yeah, any white flowers, Florida water.
At your local drugstore?
Yeah, your local drugstore. And then I'm supposed to have my shoes off. Oh, okay. I was just gonna read a prayer real quick because probably the folks that lived in this house and Annie Whipple were probably of some sort of religious background. I'm guessing because she felt so guilty for going down to the tree in the first place and accumulating this stuff from Lady Josephine. So it's kind of an opening prayer just to start the seance kind of
great.
off. I'm mixing seance with spiritual misa or spiritual mass. I'm hoping that using some of my own abilities to kind of hope amplify, speaking to Annie Whipple or whoever else is in here. Feeling kind of a little woozy headed, so I hope that's a good sign.
Okay.
Okay.
What do we do? Just sit here?
Yeah.
Well, the next morning at breakfast, she was sitting there and supposedly a family member, a cousin, was visiting the Houstons from Philadelphia. He was a medical student. Annie had brought down this paper. She didn't, really think anything of it, but the medical student saw this paper and he goes, what do you have that prescription for? And it turned out that the handwriting was in Latin and it was for a kind of medication. And Annie said, I don't know. I just found this, what is it? And the medical student said, well, I don't know for sure, but he said, this is a kind of medication and it cures fever and fits and things like that. And Annie said, well, could it help, little Sarah upstairs? And the cousin said, well, I don't know, but maybe go talk to a pharmacist, a chemist, and see what they say. And so Annie took the prescription, went around the corner to a pharmacist and showed it to the man, and he said, yeah, this might help someone who's experiencing fever and fits and things like that. So Annie had this prescription filled. She rushed back, came up the stairs, and administered this medication to the little girl. And sure enough, the color returned to her cheeks. And she became lucid. She looked around, and it's like she regained her consciousness. And so Annie was convinced that Dr. Anderson had helped her. By the end of the day, though, the girl took a turn for the worse, and she kind of fell back into a coma. And so that night, sitting at her desk, she kind of repeated the process. She said, Dr. Anderson, she said, I don't know if, what you gave me was enough or if I did it right, but the little girl isn't doing well. It seemed to help, but she's not doing well. Can you still help me? And again, she kind of fell into a trance. She fell into a deep sleep. And when she woke up, there was this paper with this handwriting in a language, which she found out was Latin.
Yeah, I guess it'd be a good time to meditate and just open yourself up. But saying out loud, maybe in your head, open to this experience, but not exactly any extra things. We're seeking specific people here. Hopefully Dr. Anderson. Just in case, I'll get this ready, hopefully nearby. I'm so nervous because they have such a nice spread here and I have ink. And I'm gonna throw dirt on things. Okay. We ask the Divine Spirit and all of our spirit guides and guardians be here tonight to watch over our work. We ask that only good spirits be present and that our spirit companions protect us from harm and mischief, from any troubled spirits who may be attached, attract, or sent to this place. And while I get ready, I'll just say in Our Father. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread.
What was that?
I heard that.
Somebody out there?
Go look real quick.
Yes.
Right over here.
Yeah.
If you please come and talk to us. I'm just talking under my breath so that you spirits may hear me and those boys can go do their things and hopefully find you. I ask that you please work through my hand and only my right hand and not the rest of my body. If you have something that you wish to say, you may communicate it through my hand and only my hand. I do not give you permission to go through the rest of my body to take residence in there or in my brain. Thank you. It's kind of important to be specific.
So right now we're recreating exactly what Annie Whipple is said to have done to try and save the children that became ill. So we're trying to see if we can have any results here with Angelique in this process.
Dr. Anderson, you helped our friend Annie Whipple many, many years ago in this very same house. We ask if you are available, or Annie Whipple. Annie Whipple, are you available to speak to us? Any of the Houstons? I know this is the Russell Houston mansion. You used to run the railroad. Annie Whipple, was that you I saw walking up the back stairs 10 years ago?
And the same thing, the next day at breakfast, she asked the visiting cousin, the medical student, if it was something that might help the little girl. It was a different medication this time, but he said, yeah, this could help fever and fits. And she went to the pharmacist and kind of explained the situation, and the pharmacist said, well, yeah, this could probably help her. And she came back and the same thing, rushed up the stairs, gave the medication to the girl, and the same thing happened. She came to, she became lucid, color returned to her cheeks, and Annie Whipple was convinced that she had cured the little girl. But the second day, by the end of the day, the same thing happened. The little girl took a turn for the worse, and she kind of fell back into a coma.
Please don't be shy. We mean you no harm. I've waited a long time to meet you, and I didn't introduce myself properly that many years ago. Hi, I'm Angelique. I walk around your house all the time. Elizabeth Houston, are you here? Miss Whipple, could we have your attention, please?
You're upstairs. Please come down and join us.
You have a seat at the table here for you?
Pressure changes.
Pressure changes. This is the first time we've had any changes in the environment.
Oh, move my book. How rude of me. I brought a book to the table.
Which one had a pressure change?
Right
This
here.
one. Okay, because I sensed on mine the pressure went up. I don't know if it if it went up or down on yours, but it's higher on that. For some reason, it's 1 millibar higher on that sensor right next to the EDI.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Closest to her, I guess.
If that was someone trying to communicate with us, can you please make that device turn on again? If you saw that there was a series of lights that were flashing, if that was you, can you do that one more time, please? Honestly, it was very interesting. We started hearing the noises on the stairs, and then we're starting getting pressure changes right here, closest to Angelique.
Annie, did you know that you actually helped young Elizabeth? That you don't have to feel guilty anymore? I'm sorry if me saying your name about every day keeps you earthbound here. But if you like to be here, we'd love to talk to you.
Candles are flickering
This one,
like
right?
crazy.
Flickered, yeah.
Should be interesting to capture with the thermal sees
Right.
with that. Should show the heat signature is going up.
Annie, I was trying to redo your ceremony that Lady Josephine taught you at the Witch's Tree to hopefully see if I could contact you or perhaps Dr. Anderson, maybe even little Elizabeth.
Well, that night, Annie Whipple repeated the process. She sat at her desk, laid out the paper, lit the candle, said the prayer, sprinkled it with the magic powder, invited Dr. Anderson to come and help her, and she fell into a trance. And the same thing, she woke up and she found this paper with handwriting. It looked like a different kind of handwriting, a different kind of language, but this time she didn't even bother asking. She ran to the pharmacist the next day. She had the prescription filled. She came back, rushed up the stairs to the little girl's bedroom, gave her the medication, and this time the little girl started seizing and frothing at the mouth and convulsing. And it was so serious that they had to call the doctor. And the doctor came, and when he saw the medication that had been given to the little girl, he said, "You know, you stupid woman, why would you give her this?" She said, "This is going to kill her. You know, this is not something you give someone who's experiencing fever and fits." And they gathered the family together, and they told the family to call the priest because the doctor said by the time the sun came up the next morning, the little girl would be dead. There was no chance of her surviving.
We don't mean any harm, no disrespect. We're here just to speak with you and possibly document your presence.
We captured a disembodied voice on our Amazonic microphone in a direct response to our questions during the seance.
Document your presence.
Is it stating Annie's name?
So I went from a steady 1 to a steady 1.3.
1.3. Yeah, it's about. Actually, it's funny you said there's a 1.3 over here too. Now, what this is saying is it's Wi-Fi/phone. So again, most likely it could be the data getting from these devices to. I mean, it's just certain packets that it comes in. So that makes sense. But if there's a drop or a sudden increase, that wouldn't make sense. So it's a good baseline to see, though.
So far, we've had a change in the pressure on both these devices, right? The EDI Plus as well as your device, right?
Yeah, I had, that one was higher. That one's still a little higher. I don't know if it's because there's other stuff around it.
Right.
But that one is the closest to her, so I don't know. But it was interesting that, it was right next to the EDI, and they both captured a
so they correlated together. There was a correlation between the two devices.
Exactly. And hopefully, I mean, we have the ambisonic mic, so that's right there, too, like if there was anything.
Did you guys just feel the table start shaking a little bit?
I felt a vibration in my seat.
I didn't feel it over here.
I had my hands on the table, so
I felt like the whole table was like shaking for
It's a heavy oak
It's
table,
a very heavy
I
table.
was gonna say, even if we hit it a little bit, it would be.
Yeah, like it was.
What
weird,
was it?
like
What was it like a?
I live in California. It felt like an earthquake.
Really?
Yeah, yeah.
It was like that, just like that. Small
When you
tremble.
mentioned it, I felt it in like my seat as well. So it made me feel like I wondered, but my feet didn't feel it.
No.
I have like my shoes off.
Is there any suggestions or anything you can do? Because the four of us, Malia is not going to be here, but the four of us are going to stay the night here. Is there anything you can do to like open the energy or make things a little more, open? Is that a possibility? Is there something that you can
Zhuzh up the ghosts.
Just try talking to him.
I want to see if the Tesla coil maybe will charge up the environment, just to see. I know, like, just without sensors and data, the hair on the back of my arms and stuff, like my hair on my arms, everything sticks up. You kind of feel the charged area. There is enough potential electricity to create interesting dynamics in the environment. I know I've had an experience where I had a Tesla coil going on for a while, and then I actually got a big jolt of electricity go through my arm, like 5 feet away from the coil, touching a door. I don't know if that's paranormal or not, but I just know it does create a really interesting electrical dynamic in the entire room. So there's 30,000 volts going through this. So I mean, you could touch it. It's very low amperage, but it could do weird things with the equipment. So we'll see what happens. Whoa. It's gonna be loud talking.
Yeah, on the 3rd floor, I believe this is where I know people have mentioned hearing things up here. I know there's indentations that occurred on the bed.
Yeah.
So if there are any entities here, you know, maybe we can create a conduit of energy for them with this Tessa coil.
I would love to see, like, do you know what bed it was that she had the indentation on?
I think it's been a majority of these rooms up here.
Really? It was more than one? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, if we can amp up the environment to, give it energy. I'm gonna turn this up. I don't know, audio might be hard to hear us talk, but it's gonna be a little loud. It does burn a little bit, but.
Okay. Whoa, look at the light, look at the light.
What's that? What is it?
Look at the light.
Oh,
don't burn the house down, Zach.
You know what it is? That's how strong the coil is.
So what I'm gonna do, guys, I'm gonna set this EVI Plus right here on this bed, because that's where they're seeing this indent, which actually, if you come in here and look, it almost looks like there's an indent right now.
On the bed? Was that there before?
No.
Did anyone sit here? Mustafa, you gotta see this, man.
Oh man, I wish we had a control though of that.
I know.
Wait, Malik, can you see that camera? That's interesting.
Okay. If there's someone in here with us and you just sat down on this bed where this indent is, can you touch that orange box right there and make the lights go on and off? It's not gonna harm you. We come here with respect. We are not here to disrespect you or cause harm of any kind.
Yeah, because that was like you could see like a defined pattern.
Yeah.
It wasn't like over here, like the bed does indent a bit. I mean, it's maybe an older mattress or whatever. So I could see that, but like.
Yeah, like it's like a.
You can see an impression. So if you were to sit.
Yeah.
Like something.
Yeah, like
laying there.
this whole part right here.
So she came to this room. She was sitting at her desk, and as they were tending to the little girl, as they were making preparations for her death, Annie Whipple was sitting at the table, her writing desk, and she saw the parchment, she saw the pen, she saw the candle, the satchel of magic powder, the prayer. She started wondering, what had gone wrong. And she started kind of wondering out loud, Dr. Anderson, why did you do this? I thought you were going to help me. And then she got angry and she cursed Dr. Anderson. She said, damn you, Dr. Anderson, you were supposed to help me. And anyone who knows about the paranormal knows you never curse people on the other side. But Annie Whipple did it anyway. And as soon as she said, damn you, Dr. Anderson, she said she felt kind of a rumbling in the floorboards, and the lights and the sconces on the wall began to flicker on and off. And all of a sudden, Annie Whipple fell into a trance, unbidden this time, but it was like a half trance. She said she was fully aware of what was going on, but she had no control over her body. And all of a sudden, her limbs started to lift, and her arms and hands started to flail as if she was a marionette. And she said one hand grabbed the pen that was on the table, the other grabbed the paper that was there, and she started slashing the paper with the pen, and then she started marring and chipping the wood of the desk. She just started going crazy. For a minute or two, she just slashed and tore everything apart. And then all of a sudden, things got still, and there was one little scrap of paper she hadn't destroyed, and with her other hand, she saw her pen quickly scrawl across the scrap of paper, "You fool, I'm not Dr. Anderson." And at that, Annie Whipple fell into a heap on the floor. And in the room next door where they were tending to the little girl, they heard her collapse on the floor. They came in and found her unconscious. They took her to her, put her to bed, and she had several lucid moments before, the day broke. But in between, she was able to tell them what had happened and how she had been supposedly contacting the spirits. And when the sun came up, Annie Whipple was dead. The strange thing is, though, the little girl was cured. And what they think happened was that third night, maybe a spirit that wasn't Dr. Anderson kind of intercepted the message and wanted to teach her a lesson for dabbling in the black arts. In the end, Annie Whipple forfeited her life in exchange for the little girls, which is what she would have wanted in the end. And so they say ever since then, the spirit of Annie Whipple has been seen running up and down the stairs, as she was going from the pharmacist to the little girl's bedside to her room, trying to cure the little girl.
All right, so we set up the EMCCD camera and Zach's photon intensifier. So we have it on the staircase. That's where people report seeing this woman walking down. Angelique, I know she said that she saw somebody walking down the stairs.
The film crew left myself, Kevin, Mustafa, and Zach alone on location for the night. We ran tests with both the photon intensifier and electron multiplying camera in the controlled environment. The footage you are about to see is one of the most shocking pieces of visual data ever collected on the EMCCD camera. Our research into the legend of Annie Whipple has proven it's mostly just that, a legend.
Can we even prove that she's an actual human being? And the answer to that, at least that portion of the story, is not really.
This is a legend, and legends usually are inherently false. So I found no actual written proof that there ever was an Annie Whipple.
And while it's tempting to attribute the shocking find on the stairwell as proof of Annie's existence, another paranormal phenomena may hold the answer: thought form manifestation. Do one's thoughts and emotions affect a location's environment in ways we have only begun to explore? Can a person's belief create what we perceive to be paranormal phenomena? We've learned through our continued research that not all hauntings are the same, and the former Houston house, with its legend of Annie Whipple, has expanded our study of the elements of a haunting. This stunning find will be incorporated into our journey and will hold profound implications for all unexplained phenomena we investigate.
We were told that we don't have ghosts, we have spirits. But I have had some very strange things happen. The first thing that ever happened to me, I was giving a tour on the 3rd floor and a ball of light went past my eyes. And I wouldn't have thought anything about it, but a second one went by. And it was a cloudy day. No sun.
Whoa. That one.
Oh, motion detector just went off.
What
The other one went
the
off.
hell?
It's a common occurrence to have people in the house experience paranormal activity here inside the museum. We get a lot of activity in Elaine Caldwell's bedroom on the 2nd floor, mostly with visitors. A lot of male visitors refuse to actually go into her room altogether. They feel really uncomfortable when they step in. They say that it feels like they're not wanted in that space, or they get uneasy. We've even had someone get physically ill in that space before and have to excuse themselves to go to the bathroom just because they feel so tense and like they're not wanted in that area, which makes sense. It's a private bedroom, and Mrs. Caldwell was a private individual.
My name is Brandon Alvis. I'm the founder of the American Paranormal Research Association. My involvement in the paranormal began at a very young age. In 1995, I lost my oldest brother to cancer. In 2004, I lost another brother to suicide. So that sent me on my journey into the unexplained, and 17 years later, I'm looking to take that next step in my research and my life to really fully immerse myself in the possibility of consciousness surviving death. So that's why I'm here in Kentucky, here with Malia, Mustafa, Kevin, to try and find a location for a paranormal research facility, a home for APRA, to really take the scientific study of the paranormal, specifically life after death, to a credible study. One of the biggest things with taking this next step in my research and in my life is the fact that I'm willing to immerse myself into a haunted location, willing to sacrifice a lot to learn more. I'll be putting my family in that situation, which I really want to understand. Is it dangerous? Is it something that it could be detrimental? So that's why I want to come out to these investigations, talk to these people that live in these locations, work in these locations. What's it like operating in a haunted location day in and day out? It's something I really have to think about, but my gut just tells me I need to take that step, that next step for this research. And I hope I find those answers in this journey, and I hope that I make the right decision. All right, guys, first and foremost, thank you guys so much for joining me on this journey. For a long time, I've been wanting to acquire a haunted location for a research facility for APRA. So thank you guys so much. I've known you guys for a long time. This is fantastic. Malia, what do you know about the Conrad Caldwell House?
It is probably our location that has the most deaths on site, which I think is incredibly fascinating since we do have places that have darker histories. But this place is deeply rooted in familial history. We have two prominent Louisville families that have lived in the house. It was also a boarding house. It was also a Presbyterian house for widows, which is what I'm really interested to find out about, because I think over 30 women died in the home, and they even had some of those funerals in the parlor. So I am so excited to get there. I'm so excited to find out more about the house, and I think you guys are gonna lose your minds. I think it's gonna be super active. My name is Malia Molino. I'm a historical researcher. I have been researching history for the better part of 8 years, but I have been obsessed with history my entire freaking life. And the reason why I got into it was a combination of things, but I basically was bored, and I love history. And when I was in LA, I didn't know what to do with myself. So I would go explore all of the places that were supposedly haunted in LA. And I wanted to know, why is this place haunted? What makes it haunted? Like, yeah, sure, the Roosevelt supposedly has ghosts, but who are those ghosts? So I would spend my time researching it, and I would talk the ears off my friends who just frankly didn't care that much, which sucked. It is my absolute passion. I love stories, and I have a crippling fear of mortality. So for me, when I get to learn about a place or the people that lived there in my own way, that's keeping them alive. I grew up in a family that we didn't just believe in the paranormal, it was an accepted fact. Like, oh, your grandma's house is haunted, or so-and-so is in that room. And it would terrify me. I spent my entire life paralyzed of seeing a ghost, being around ghosts, and I've always been incredibly sensitive to energies. So for me, it just became this lifelong need to try to understand what makes a place haunted. Again, I am terrified of death. I need to know that there is something after this. I need to know that we don't just get this one shot and that's it. I need proof. I am both petrified about this journey, but also incredibly excited.
Oh man, just the look of it and just the feeling when you go inside. Not so much when you walk in. I mean, it's just a grand view when you walk in, but getting upstairs in some of those rooms, it just has that vibe. Just kind of the constant feeling of being watched, if you will. And so I'm excited to get in here and, see what's going on, and, some of the people we're gonna be talking to, actual descendants of the family that own the house, is gonna be awesome. Really excited. My name is Kevin Adi. I started investigating the paranormal in 2007, so it's been about 15 years now. And part of what got me into the paranormal is hearing so many different stories of things that people have seen and wanting to
capture on tape exactly what they've seen. I mean, there's a lot of credible stories from people that have things happen to them in a place that they have no idea the story behind it, and it matches things that other people have reported in different times. Prior to being a paranormal investigator and working in TV production, I worked for a small sheriff's department in Missouri from 2003 until I moved to California in 2009. I feel like my training as an officer really helped the way I investigate, especially after doing so many court cases and stuff like that, because I work on putting together and building a case, presenting evidence for things that I've witnessed, things that I've seen, really diving into it and trying to look behind, what's really going on. So when I heard Brandon was looking for a home for APRA, after recently moving to Kentucky and experiencing some of the things that are here in the history, I reached out to him and told him this is one place he should start looking at.
No, this place is awesome. What I'm really super stoked about is the fact that it was a woman's home more than it was a residential home. So yeah, it has this great familial history. You have the Conrads, who originally built the place. You got the Caldwells, who were there a little longer than the Conrads, but there were all of these women who banded together. Even though they were in the later stages of their lives, they went for life, to have a great life and to build that family and community. And then when you add in all of this really gnarly stuff, we're learning about Kentucky, and everyone here kind of believes in ghosts, everyone believes in hauntings, and everyone we talked to said that if there's any place that's freaking haunted in Kentucky, it's the Conrad Caldwell house. So that gets me all tingling in the right places.
My name is Mustafa Gatollari, and the reason why I've been investigating the paranormal for the past 17 years is because I'm obsessed with hauntings, and not just ghosts coming and giving you wet willies in the middle of the night, but the hauntings that people experience on a daily basis. Everyone's haunted by something, whether it's a boyfriend who got dumped and then he's kicking himself for not treating his significant other good enough, or maybe you didn't spend enough time with your grandparents before they passed away. The great thing about my relationship with Brandon, this bromance that everybody talks about, whatever, I like it, I don't care. But that we met in the work. There was a like-mindedness in the work, and I'm wholeheartedly confident that we have a team of people who, when the rubber hits the road, not to use a pro wrestling term, when it does, they have no quit in them, and they just want to get answers and they want to get evidence. Everything, no matter what it is, whether it's paranormal investigating or whether you're even dating somebody, it's you love me, show me evidence. I mean, you haven't come out to hang out with me in a couple of weeks. I'm not bitter, obviously, you can tell. But I mean, whatever it is that you're doing, you need to have evidence with it. And I just gotta tell y'all, buckle up, because stuff's about to get weird. Well, maybe, I don't know, I can't promise that. But if it does, it's ghost, baby. Just deal with it.
Dude, this is insane.
I know. Right here. Right here.
Right on the corner.
I know, dude. Oh, shoot, dude. It's even better.
Look at this.
Pictures.
Oh my
She's
God,
like a
guys.
giant peacock.
Look at that.
She's so gorgeous.
Holy
Look at that.
That's pretty awesome.
Wow.
It's even better in the sunlight. God, it's beautiful, man.
Look at that. Wow. Look at this, man. This is crazy.
Do you feel like all those faces are just looking at you?
It's limestone, right?
Yeah.
That's huge.
That balcony's cool. It's like you got like a woman waiting for a gentleman callers up there with like a handkerchief.
Exactly. All right, Malia, want to meet with Kate, and we'll get the equipment, see the investigation.
All right, see you guys later.
Yeah. Property taxes are probably crazy on that.
Malia meets with Kate Metter, director of the Conrad Caldwell Museum, to explore the home's rich familial history, along with its redoubtable status as the most haunted house in America's most haunted neighborhood, Old Louisville.
Well, Kate, first of all, thank you so much for letting us come and actually investigate in this incredible museum that I am so stoked to talk about. Like, literally, I'm very jealous of your job, and I'm just excited to be here. But go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us what you do here at the museum.
Yeah, my name is Kate Metter, and I'm the executive director of the Conrad Caldwell House Museum.
And so the original owner of the house, Theo Conrad, he comes here from France?
He came here from France, the Alsace-Lorraine region of France. He was 17 years old. He had $2 in his pocket. He had family that was already here, but he came to Louisville, Kentucky with the hopes of becoming something, of making something of himself. And so he started as an apprentice in a tannery and eventually worked his way up to owning tanneries, apartment buildings. He really invested in real estate here in Louisville. So he was one of the movers and shakers here at the time.
He's here and he dies in the home.
He dies in the home, yep, in 1905, yeah. So he was very proud of his French heritage. And so the evening that he passed away, he went to the Galt House where they were having a lecture on French heritage. And so he attended, he came home. It was middle of February, very, very cold, went downstairs to check the boiler and make sure that it was working okay. And as he was walking up the basement stairs, he suffered a heart attack, or what he thought was a heart attack. And so he was able to make it up to his second floor bedroom. And apparently there were 7 doctors that were called to see if, what was going on and if there was any sort of anything that they could do to help him. And he ended up passing away before any of those 7 doctors got here.
Wow. So he passes away and his wife's here until she sells it to their friends, the Caldwells?
Yeah, so she lived here, we think, for about a year or so. What's funny is that the Caldwells lived right next door to the Conrads for a very short period of time. So they, other than knowing each other just socially, they also were neighbors.
So I get really excited about the Caldwells because I feel like this is where a lot of the female energy that I'm really excited about with the house comes into play. Because Elaine was, from my understanding, really involved in women causes. And then you have her daughter who's very social, always popping up in the newspapers at, dinners, and they hosted a lot here, from my understanding.
They did.
So William and Elaine's daughter, Grace, went deaf, correct?
She did.
Okay, and so I heard that she went to the same school as Helen Keller to learn how to lip read.
Yes, she did. Helen Keller was a little bit later, but yes, they did go to the same school.
So the family lives here, and Elaine dies. Well, she suffers a stroke, doesn't she?
She does. She suffers a stroke in the house and passes away here.
Wow, okay. So, and then after that, from what I felt like I read in the newspapers, was there something with the estate, like they had to sell it? There was an auction of some of the family items. Like, was there any financial trouble at that time?
So not so much financial trouble, but Elaine passed away about 13 years before William did. William ended up marrying the housekeeper at the time, much later, after this housekeeper and Elaine never had anything to do with each other. They ended up marrying the housekeeper. And when William passed away, there was, some kind of issues with the family and his new wife and, who got the house, who got the furnishings. So there was a little bit of family drama that as we all deal with.
As it happens. So then I feel like the house really starts living its whole second life, right?
It does.
It becomes a boarding house where I found so many articles of people that met up here, found somebody and got married and or died here at the time it was a boarding house. And then it becomes the Presbyterian House for Widows, correct?
Yep. So about 7 years, a woman named Vesta Lastly, I love her name, she ran this as a boarding house for middle-class workers. And then after she was sort of done with that, the Presbyterian Church came in and purchased the home and ran it as a widow's home.
I know there are a lot of obituaries of women that died in this house. Do you know how many people have died in this house?
I mean, at least 30, if not more.
That's nuts.
It is.
That's a lot of people in one house.
Yeah.
Were there ever any funerals here?
Yes, specifically, we know as early as Theophilus Conrad, he laid in state here in the parlor where we're sitting.
Paranormal claims.
Yes.
What are the most common things that you have heard of people experiencing in the house?
So I say the most common would be the sitting room. Some of the Presbyterian widows still are said to inhabit that space. Elaine Caldwell's bedroom, she's made her presence known. The housekeeper's room, we've had a number of people say that they have felt something off in that room. Definitely the billiards room. William Caldwell is supposedly, his spirit lingers there with the smell of cigars. And then the basement. I mean, we do have a full basement, and that is where Theo suffered his heart attack. So I'm guessing that, his spirit would probably linger in that area too. So we did have an intern a couple of years ago say that she saw the outline of a man dressed in like Victorian attire in the dining room. But I've never heard of anybody in the dining room except for him.
Okay.
And it was a man. I don't really want to know about it.
Fair. I'd probably honestly be doing the same thing.
Yeah, I keep my head down and I just kind of walk to where I need to go and then be done. If there are any spirits, I know that they're positive spirits and they're happy that we're doing what we're doing, but it still doesn't matter.
Well, finally, do you have any advice for us? Do you have any words of wisdom going into our investigation or things that we should just keep in mind as we're going about it?
I would definitely recommend being extremely respectful of the space, because I do, from different accounts that I've heard, some of the spirits may not appreciate so many people in and around. So I think I would tread lightly, and I would I would partly make your presence known that you're here for good and not for evil.
My name is Beth Caldwell. I've lived in Louisville all my life. And my great-grandparents, William and Elaine Caldwell, were the second owners of this house. Well, when I was little, this was a Presbyterian ladies' retirement home. And I think my mother thought her precious little daughters would terrorize the little old ladies. So we never came in here. But they would drive by out front and say that was your great-grandparents' house. But when you're 6 or 7, it doesn't mean a whole lot to you. But my father and my aunt were here extensively as children because it was their grandparents' house. So they had all the good memories. My great-grandfather William, when he was a child, his father died. His mother had tuberculosis, couldn't keep her children, so he was farmed out. And as the story goes, he left home when he was 14 or 15 with a nickel in his pocket. And he went around doing odd jobs, educating himself, eventually ended up going to Cornell and Northwestern universities and became a mechanical engineer. And he was living in the Chicago area, but the distilleries in Kentucky had heard about him. So he came to Louisville and eventually opened up Caldwell Tanks here in Louisville, which is still in existence today. They made water tanks and towers. We seem to have people from all across the country, and everybody seems to want to know about the paranormal. I think it's a big thing now. Well, we were told that we don't have ghosts, we have spirits. They said ghosts do mean things and scare people, but spirits come back to places they love to protect it. So I have never seen a person, but I have had some very strange things happen. The first thing that ever happened to me, I was giving a tour on the 3rd floor and a ball of light went past my eyes. And I wouldn't have thought anything about it, but a second one went by. And it was a cloudy day, no sun. And I thought maybe somebody was swinging purses or something, but nobody was. And if anybody else in the group saw it, they didn't say anything. My sister Barb and I have smelled perfume in my great-grandmother's room when we've not had tours. I was standing in the hallway on the 2nd floor outside my great-grandmother's room, and something brushed my face, went down my arm, made the hair on my arm stand straight up. And I had a lady's voice tell me hello when I turned the lights on one day. And then we had a lady that came for a visit once, and we were in the parlor. And she said, "Do you have spirits in the house?" And we said, "Well, we think we do." She said, "Well, there's a lady standing behind you, and she's wearing an ivory dress, and she has her arms out like this, like she's encompassing the whole house." Well, I couldn't see anything. About 4 years later, my cousin is in that same room, different time, different lady says to her, "There's a lady behind you. She's wearing a light colored dress, and she has her arms out like this." But I think probably the most bizarre thing that we had happen here, we had a group of paranormal people that came through, and they had a spirit box. It picked up radio waves. So they went from room to room asking questions. My sister Barb and our assistant director Chris and I all walked through with them. And we couldn't understand anything on that box, but they claimed they heard answers. Well, they went to my great-grandmother's room, started asking some very insensitive questions, and out of the blue, on this box, as clear as day, a voice said, "Get out." And I can tell you, they got their equipment and they left. I would think it was my great-grandmother, and I feel very close to her. I really feel her presence when I'm in that room. All the things that I have felt have been more female than male. I can't speak for other people, but that's, to me, what I see.
We have a couple of live feeds of some of the rooms here.
We do, yeah. So we got two main feeds here. Yep. We got this billiards room, which is going to be a huge point of interest for what we're doing tonight. Got the hallway down there, but we have cameras in all of these rooms where there are reports. You got this man that's seen out here that's smoking a cigar on the balcony. You have the voices of Get Out, right, in a few second floor, right?
Yeah.
So we have all that covered. So
And we have a camera in the second floor sitting room where we've already heard footsteps yesterday.
Right, exactly. When we were shooting, the crew heard footsteps. Our DP, director of photography, David, saw a hand going down the railing, and we'll see what happens. You know, I'm very excited for this, but again, first and foremost, respect is key, right?
Yeah,
Obviously,
of
we
course.
want to make sure we're showing as much respect for the house and the possible entities that are here as possible. But I think that we have our nerve center here. Everything's ready to go. I say we start in this billiards room and get a session going.
Let's do it.
Sounds good.
All right.
Okay,
let's
cool
start.
beans.
Let's do it.
We begin our investigation by conducting an environmental sweep of the billiards room to establish a baseline. This serves as a control for our experiment.
So right now we are in the billiards room, and we are not only running a test with Zach's equipment where we're monitoring all the environmental data in this room, but this is the exact room where many people over the years have seen a man smoking on that balcony right there. Man with the bowler hat. A lot of people believe it's
Theo Conrad.
Yeah,
I
a
believe
lot
it's
of
one of the
people.
Conrad descendant. It's Theo Conrad, Theophilus Conrad. That's who a lot of people think it is. Funny thing about this room too is that his wife, Mary Conrad, she didn't allow men to smoke in the house. So that's what's really interesting about this place, because this is like the man cave. I know caves aren't up, but he would go out on that balcony and smoke right over there because she didn't want the smell of cigarette or cigar smoke in the home. So that's kind of interesting when you think about, like, you know, the time period. You know, it was a man's world, but not in this house. And the house was actually in her name, which is pretty interesting when you think about that. And it sounds like she kind of took ownership of that. So pretty cool.
So again, what we're gonna do, guys, is just, you know, kind of get this session going. We're, again, you know, looking at all the environmental data with Zach's equipment. He's gonna look into this from a very scientific perspective. If something does happen, we're gonna capture it in every way, shape, or form. We also have a Zoom H6 right here that's gonna be recording very high quality bitrate recording. We also have an Amazonic microphone that's back here. And we also have a few motion detectors. So we're just gonna kind of check things out and see what happens and start a session.
Yeah, my name's Zach Hano, and I'm an electrical engineer. I currently work in the aerospace and defense industry, but I've previously worked on ships for ExxonMobil, and I've worked as a scientist for DuPont. The paranormal's always kind of intrigued me. You know, as a kid, I feel like everybody has, you know, that overall curiosity, but as you get older, you kind of close off your mind more. But as I've gotten older, I've kind of got more curious about, you know, what makes up the paranormal. I mean, there's too many people having experiences all around the world to, you know, just write it off that, you know, it's just, you know, mind playing tricks on you or, you know, environmental factors. I really want to understand what's going on. As an electrical engineer, working in the aerospace and defense industry, I really want to use science because that's what I use every day. I mean, I'm in the lab and in the field, and I truly understand the scientific method. And the key of the scientific method is to really get that repeatability. And the paranormal, it's kind of difficult to do. But that's why I think we need to bring in new equipment that's used in different fields, especially that I use every day. And obviously it's not made for the paranormal, it's just to understand the environment. And then equipment that I've actually made myself. We have super sensitive equipment. I have my ectopod, my ectodiscs. Basically what they are environmental sensors, but like very, very accurate sensors. Right now we're looking at the temperature, humidity, carbon dioxide, TVOX, you name it, we have it here. Right now it's running a background check to kind of see what the baseline is. Things are pretty nominal right now.
Okay.
Carbon dioxide is a little high, but I mean, that makes sense because we're kind of in this environment. So, you know, we're breathing out carbon dioxide. But if there's anything that changes, anything that doesn't look, it doesn't line up with what our baseline readings are, you know, we should make note of that. We'll have the camera on it, we'll see that, and then hopefully we'll use the EMCCD to see if we can collect that data, and then if there's anything caught, we can capture all that environmental data points on that.
Cool. So initially, just by looking at your readings right now, do you think that there's anything in this home that would adversely affect someone's mind or, you know, thought process or whatever, their brain, to make them think that there's like something going on that's not paranormal?
No. So right now, everything seems fine. We carbon monoxide. There's 0 ppm parts per million, which is good. I mean, that's what.
Very good.
yeah. Air pressure is a little low, but I mean, it's pretty nominal. There's a little bit of ozone, but that can be coming from anything. There's a number of different things, but that's in the normal limit. Like I said, carbon dioxide is a little high. I mean, it's not high enough to create any type of a cognitive dissonance where, you know, you might be
like hallucinating
or something.
I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Brandon. I come here with the fullest respect for yourself and this beautiful home. We come here to possibly speak with you and to possibly document your presence. We have devices here. I know there's been people that have come through this house before that have tried to communicate with you or speak with you, but we do have various devices here that can possibly detect your presence. So if you are here, can you let us know by touching one of these devices? They will not harm you in any way, shape, or form, but they will let us know that you're here and allow us to possibly have some form of communication. Did you hear that?
That wasn't you?
Something knocked against the wall over there.
I'm gonna try walking away from it again, see if it makes that sound again. Almost sounded like this was almost like, it sounded like this right here. Hold on. Was it right here? Or almost some.
Could have been
That's
when
what
you were
sounded.
moving with the floorboards. Let me.
It was this. It was like that. It was a sound over here. That's where it came from. Okay, let's just settle.
All right.
We're speaking with some of the museum curators here and the people who work here, and they stress the importance of being respectful. We're sorry if we were making a loud ruckus while filming here, but this really is a beautiful home, and we loved hearing the stories of the families who lived here and the people who lived here. So if there's anybody here that would like to say something to us, or if you could just spare us a few moments of your time, we'd really, really love for the opportunity to speak with you.
So there's something odd. I don't know. I haven't seen this with the meter yet. It could be a malfunction with the meter, but everything's all zeroed out.
It's not typically not like that, or?
No. Let me reset it. It might be. I'm gonna start it over. But it was rolling, and for some reason it went all
to zeros.
All to zeros. So like froze.
It's kind of weird because earlier when we were shooting footage, David, right? Didn't your camera like completely malfunction?
Yeah, and I couldn't see half my media in my card. It just wasn't showing up, and I have never seen that before.
We actually thought, like, at one point, I think we were like, oh man, was this, like, did the media get corrupted or something like that? And
Yeah, I wasn't sure, and even my monitor was completely yellowed out. I've never even seen that before. It wasn't like it was pixelated, but it was like yellow and orange.
that's kind of one thing they've talked about here too, right? Is they said that there's been like malfunctions with equipment and stuff, right?
Well, that's the thing too. It's like for me, I mean, I'll speak for myself at least. Like I am so detailed with this stuff. Like I make sure everything's working perfectly fine. So when something like this happens, like it's like it really like kind of irks me. It's like something. I mean something's up. Like it's not normal. Right now, it's going through the baseline again to kind of calibrate. It seems like it's working fine now. But that was weird. I just noticed that when it was on there.
It is kind of strange though, coincidentally, called a coincidence or not, but earlier David had the same thing happen with his camera in this exact room.
Oh, right over here? This is where
right
it
by
happened?
that couch, yeah. Started freaking out, yeah.
It's weird. One of my other sensors kind of went off. There's 4 of them, right? Should have 4 data points. We only have 3 right here.
And it's not working?
It's the PIR one.
Is that you making these devices not function properly? It's a very beautiful home you have here. You see why you would stick around, stay in this beautiful room. I mean, it's one of the most beautiful rooms I've ever seen, actually. I wouldn't leave it.
Do you want a cigar? Is it because there's a cigar on the billiards table? Do you want me to take it out of the bag? You do that.
Yeah, feel free to smoke it.
I'm sorry if you're trying to communicate with us, and if there's anything that you want me to do, I could remove that from the packaging. I mean, if interacting with that orange box and this green box over here with the orange numbers on it,
What's going on, dude?
As soon as we started talking about the cigar, the TVOX, total volatile organic compounds, went up to 44 parts per billion.
Okay.
Like that could be, chemicals that are in the actual cigars themselves. Like, that's weird. That was just weird.
I mean, wants to smoke? You want to smoke?
I don't know if it was because maybe you took it out of the bag, but
Okay.
it was.
Want
it was
me to
right.
recreate it? See if that does
Yeah,
that again?
we could try.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's mine.
Okay,
Yeah.
let's see that. Tell me if it's happening.
It might. I mean, it might have to
No problem.
calculate. So.
Mr. Conrad, if you're here, Zach can monitor these devices on the table. Can you come and stand next to me against this table and see if you can make his numbers change? Can you walk up and stand next to me? Is it okay if we light up this cigar in the house?
What are you hearing?
I heard something over there.
Like a footstep?
Like a voice.
Really?
Yeah.
Let's mark that. It's 7:58 p.m.
Is anybody outside?
Can't see out this way. Let's put this right here.
So we walked into the billiards room to set up a control, just get a baseline and see what the environmental factors and conditions were. As always, I have my investigator hat whenever I'm in a spooky place, and so I'm just looking around at some of the equipment that we set up. And while we were talking a little bit about the different environmental factors, and specifically we were talking about the Caldwells, I heard what sounded like a voice, and I was surprised nobody else heard it, but it seemed to come out of the corner of the room. Immediately marked it. We're gonna go review it.
What the hell?
What?
Oh, the whole table moved.
It's said that, whenever staff or volunteers try and move anything or change anything in that room, things start happening, like lights will flicker, doors will open. So we now have this superstitious, tradition where we kind of walk in and we're like, ladies, we're going to be cleaning, we're going to be, fixing, we're going to be, rearranging. So, we just want to recognize that you're here.
We apologize.
We apologize. We don't mean to be moving things around, or anyone that's in here. We don't mean to be upsetting you. We're just trying to make things a bit easier.
I wasn't
for us.
jumping up and bouncing up and down on my feet, right, or anything.
No.
Like that. That was cool. Apparently, a table just moved out of nowhere and almost knocked the EDI off. We've been asking any of the entities that may be here to interact with that. But yeah, I find that kind of interesting that it just moved the table. That one.
Oh, motion detector just went off.
What
The
the
other one went off.
hell? All right. David, can you move back?
Yeah, that could be a moisture spot on the wall. See a lot of reflections, I think, in the window.
Now that we have our control here in this billiards room, what we're gonna do is bring in Malia and Beth into this area that's usually, in its time when the house was functioning, was usually an area for
That
males.
went off.
Motion detector went off.
Right over there.
Right when we said we were gonna bring in
Beth. Right when we said.
That's also where I was today.
Oh, that was.
That's where it happened.
I was
huh?
right in front of there.
Is that where that happened?
Yeah.
So interesting, we did have motion detector just go off right when we were talking about bringing up Malia and Beth, which is really interesting. This room was mainly used for men. This was a men's parlor, billiards area. So bringing in Malia and Beth in here, and we'll be at the nerve center monitoring the entire time. And if anything starts to happen, we can join into the investigation at that point. But so far, very interesting.
Hi, Beth. Hi. It's so nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
It's
Our
so
experiment will test the theory that familial connections are the catalyst for reported paranormal activity taking place at the Conrad Caldwell Museum.
One thing that I will tell you that's really interesting so far is the entire time we were doing our baseline sweeps, we really didn't have any fluctuations of any kind in the environment. But right when Mustafa was talking about bringing Beth up to the billiards room, we started having changes in pressure and temperature, which is interesting. So
interesting.
But we will right there again. See the spiking.
My
It was
Lord.
not going off the entire time, which is very interesting. So I get right there again.
Wow. It's like the house is happy. She's here.
It's definitely a change. Absolutely. So, right there we go again.
Yeah, it seems like that's measuring the pressure. So this was definitely your great-grandfather's space.
Yes.
Would Elaine have ever come in this room, do you think?
Well, I'm sure she came in, but probably not while they were playing pool and poker and having their men's night out.
Okay, so this was kind of where he would come, he would chill, he would come and play cards.
I mean, I will say it's very, very interesting that the EDIs were, measuring some changes in pressure and temperature. I mean, right before we mentioned Beth, or right when we mentioned Beth, right?
Well, I mean, the motion detector did the same thing. And then also, I mean, the cigar we debunked, but the motion detector went off around the same time. I heard something, and then the EDI goes off too. So that was kind of gnarly. And it wasn't going, they weren't going off the entire time we were there. I just thought like, oh, this is probably an area where the EDIs aren't really gonna do anything. But
Now, when you've been in this room, have you ever personally had any experience in this room?
I was turning the lights on in here one day and a lady's voice said, hello. I said hello back, but nobody said anything.
Do you think it was Elaine?
I would like to think it is. I feel her presence in this house, especially on the second floor.
And so I'm always thinking back, like, oh, if I could have just had that conversation. Like, if
Right.
you're so drawn to her, is there any kind of conversation, anything that if you could say to her, you'd want to say to her?
Well, I would like to tell her how much I admire her, and I would love to have been like her.
I think you are. I mean, I think there's a reason why that you're drawn to this house. Maybe it is something that's kind of pulling you, that familial connection is just calling you back, because your family hasn't even owned this house since when? Would you
No.
say 1940?
1940.
That's almost 100 years ago. It's 80
Exactly.
years ago.
Exactly.
And the fact that you, when you said your father, all of you guys are coming here to volunteer your time, like that has to mean something. And I just have to believe, I mean, the fact that they already got a little bit of something with you just being mentioned, you walking in the room. I feel like the house is happy you're here. I think there's something rooted where the Caldwells want their family here.
Well, they were very family oriented, and I think they would be very happy to know that the family is here and volunteering and involved in this house.
That's interesting. It's going off when you said that.
My great-grandmother did not want to move in here. He had to bribe her by saying, you can decorate it any way you like. And that's the only way she would move in. She said it was too big and too pretentious.
Interesting. So you think your grandfather was, I mean, that's a strange thing. I mean, I have to admit, it's a little strange to carry a picture of your friend's house in your wallet.
But this was a unique house, and I think
Agreed.
he loved it.
Okay.
And I think he always wanted it. But like I said, he didn't want his friend to die to get it, but he loved living here.
Interesting, it's really going on.
Hey guys.
Sorry. Kind in.
This thing is really just was
Really?
going, yeah, it was
Which
having.
one? Was it
on the
right
one,
there?
that one, yeah.
There it is.
Yeah.
So what we've noticed in our research, guys, is that anytime we start to get changes in pressure like that, so
Okay.
that yellow light that goes off, something is happening. And we're not sure exactly what it is, but we've noticed that activity changes. And it's interesting when you're talking about the familial history like that, right?
Yeah.
So that's very, very interesting. So we'll let you guys continue that thought, but we're gonna bring in Mustafa as well.
I just think if it would be nice if, you know, you wanted to, I don't know, directly try to address any of your ancestors who are here maybe, if there's anything that you'd want to say to them, and then who knows, we might be able to, sometimes we get voices of people who aren't here.
Well, I had the lady's voice tell me hello in here.
Yeah?
So, Grandma, are you here? Aunt Grace? Well, it's mostly when we've talked about the ladies of the house.
Really?
The
That's when it
ladies,
would
and
go
then
off?
we first started talking, it started to go off a lot when we first started talking about how, which I think I'm still not over, her great-grandfather, it is your great, right? It's your great-grandfather carried around a picture of this house in his wallet while the Conrads still owned it. They were friends. And like she keeps joking, he didn't want him to die to get the house, but he had been wanting this house.
He loved this house.
Constant pressure changes on one of the data loggers catches Mustafa's attention. Since the changes would presumably occur on both, he resets the device to rule out any false
The
positives.
family still loves this house. It's almost like the house was built by the Conrads, but it was meant for the Caldwells.
Well, I can tell you this story. When my father and my aunt would come here, they always said they were going to the house. And everybody knew what they were talking about. My sister and I today say, we are going to the house, and everybody knows exactly where we're going.
I could say, I mean, even from my equipment, you know how I'm very scientific with it.
Yeah.
I think Beth acted as a good catalyst, and I think they acknowledge, you know, if whoever is here, if there's anything here, the environment at the very least acknowledges that she's here.
Yeah.
Right? So that's what our data is telling us. So I just think that's very interesting. I mean, for me, I'm like, okay, that's really, it's cracking my brain. So.
It's cool. Okay, well, if it impressed you, then that's good.
We get a lot of activity in Elaine Caldwell's bedroom on the second floor, mostly with visitors. A lot of male visitors refuse to actually go into her room altogether. They feel really uncomfortable when they step in. They say that it feels like they're not wanted in that space.
I will tell you, I do feel more uncomfortable in this room than I did upstairs.
Okay.
It doesn't feel bad, but it feels heavier.
Yeah. Hey, is there anybody out there? Is there anybody in this hallway here?
Oh, it's facing into there.
Yeah, it's facing into there. That just went off. That's the...
The electronic voice phenomena you're about to hear was captured on Mustafa's lav mic just as the motion detector in the adjacent room went off.
Yeah, so I got the...
From here.
I got the motion detector set up into that bathroom. Into that bathroom. Into that bathroom.
Our over 50 years of combined research has led us to believe that at the heart of many hauntings is a deep familial connection. So we absolutely had to begin our journey at the Conrad Caldwell house.
We're gonna go review this.
What the hell?
What?
Oh, motion detector just went off.
What the hell? All right.
If one had strong familial ties in life, do those bonds persist in death? Does fighting to remember and celebrate those bonds conjure a haunting? I'd say with what we documented in Old Louisville so far, this could very well be the case.
I would think it was my great-grandmother, and I feel very close to her. I really feel her presence when I'm in that room.
But the Conrad Caldwell house is only one piece of the puzzle. We'll implement what we've learned here in further investigations throughout America's most haunted state.